said, Mr. Stricklin, he went out on us. We had to bring him back twice last night. His organs are shutting down. And he said, I said, so what you saying? You know, I mean, do I need to come back up there? He said, I'm just telling you that if he goes again, let him go because he's going to be leaning towards being a vegetable. And so about 5 minutes later, the doctor called and said he's gone. You know, living on East 66 Terrace. My mom was with her then boyfriend at the time and became my stepfather in 1981. And so he was a good man of the house. He just worked a lot of long hours. So it really was like it's her husband, our stepdad. But when you go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning as a diesel mechanic and then come home at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and he did that, you know, Monday through Saturday. So we really didn't have the dad to do things with, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just myself, my mom, and my brother Steve, and then our stepfather, Wendell.
And how early back you said this was how old were you?
They started dating maybe mid to late 70s. Probably I was about 6, 7 years old.
Okay.
I was born in Orlando, and my dad, Thomas, rest in peace as well.
That's my father's name too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Navy man, 27-year veteran.
Okay.
And Master Chief. And I guess, you know, when you're young, you don't understand the dynamics of their marriage or whatever, but they end up getting a divorce. They both from here and graduated from Central High School, 65, 66. And so mom came back home from Florida, where I was born, and then when she raised us back here. So that's how it all started. Just my memories of a dad in the house is my stepfather.
But your actual father
lived in Virginia while he was in the military. Then he, you know, when you go out to sea, you go on 6 months or whatever it was. Then he ended up retiring and staying in Florida.
Okay.
So he was never just here with us to raise us.
But y'all did speak? Y'all did have some type of connection?
That's later on. We didn't have no connection. You know, with that situation, when I got in my 30s, I decided to reach out to him, like I stated in the last one. And just to see, because I know how women can be these days. I know a lot of good men that went through some trouble because of the woman, and I'm looking at the man like, this is a good dude trying his best, but she kept that distance between child and father. So I wanted to make sure my mom wasn't that woman. So I reached out to him and my brother. I told him, I said, let's go down there. My dad built race cars. And we would go down to the World Street Nationals, which is in Orlando, Florida. But I reached out to him and just try to see what he liked so that we could pique his interest and maybe come down there and do some things he liked to do to get to know him. And I was like maybe 35 maybe when this happened. And so my brother didn't want to go at first because he was like, forget him. You know, he missed all of he missed no graduations, not from 8th grade, not from high school, no direction on what to do after school, no, just nothing, no communication. Prior to me calling him in my 30s, I hadn't seen him, spend time with him since 1981. I went to Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia to spend the summer with him. And that was the last real communication that I had with him until I reached back out to in my 30s.
And when you reached out to him, you was of like clear mind, like you was cool, like you was straight?
I'm going to tell you, because I had been in ministry, I think I was 35 at the time when I reached out, and I had been in ministry since 33. So I've been in there 2 years, and you know, when you dive into the Word of God, it teaches you humility and then how to get peace. And so I figured that I would chase after honoring my father and my mother, you know, and trying to do the things that's right. So I said the best thing to do is reach out to him to see if we can connect, you know, and I don't want to be that one that is just rebellious, forget him, I don't like him, you know, he wasn't here. I wanted to give it a shot because I think all relationships can be worked on and mended if possible, if both parties are willing. And it worked out. You know, we ended up going down there, and every year we would go down there. And I tell people all the time, if you want somebody to tell you love them, tell them first. So we would talk on the phone, and I'll be hesitant. Then one day I said, I love you, Pops. You know, and he didn't say nothing. Then next time we have a conversation, I said it. Then one day he said, I love you too. And that's when we really, connected.
When you said it the first time, right?
Yeah, he played me out.
And he didn't respond. What was going through your mind? Because did you already feel like he loved you back and didn't need to hear it, or was it like you were testing him, or what?
I felt like he was excited and loved that his boys, because apparently to all his friends he would talk about us to his friends, so they knew us, just from what he said and all the success and things like that. And so when I told him, I was just like, yeah, I'm just thinking like he gonna soften up right now. He just don't know how to tell some boys he didn't raise that he loved them. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Inside he loved them because we his offspring. But at the same time, he was rebellious until I told him. I said I'm gonna keep telling him, and then one day he gonna say it back, and he did. And then it became a time when we get out the phone, he tell me first. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I said, now we moving along,
And he was probably fighting with it in his head, like, does he mean this? Should I say this back? Right. Is he gonna get mad if I say it back? Like, you don't love me. You ain't been that old. So he probably was. I understand the fight of a man in his head a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? It's not that you mean anything bad, but most times it's just like, I don't know what to say. Right. I don't know what to say in this moment. So, and it's probably just unbelievable that you're saying that to him too. Right. After all of
those years, you were never there, but then we connect, and I'm like, I mean, at the end of the day, you my pops, and you wasn't no bad dude. So, I mean, you did what you could do, or what you wanted to do. And so that's who you are. But in the midst of all of that, he taught me how not to be to my kids. So I vowed that I'd be at everything. Yeah. If I can make it and I'm there, of course we got to work sometimes, and you may miss one or two things, but I've been to 90-something% or more of all of my kids' stuff,
That's what I think's so dope about this kind of stuff, because people gonna get to see this who's going through the same thing you going through, as far as like, they're probably thinking about like, man, I want to reach out to my pops, but nah, he wasn't there, Right. And what you said is profound, bro. Like, you're still my father. And there's still a void that you're missing at that time too. Like some things you want to know, some questions you have or whatever. So upon when reaching out to him, like not reaching out to him, when you actually first got in his presence, what did it feel like? Did you start to feel like a kid again? Did you, what was
no.
it? What was
it? It was actually, it's totally the opposite. Okay, so my brother and I get to Orlando, and so we go to, we get to his crib or whatever. We get up the next morning to get ready to go to, matter of fact, let me back that up. We got there Friday night. So we go to a restaurant that I like. Mm-hmm. It was Boston Feast in Orlando, and it's all you can eat lobster. So we go there, we eat good, then we go back to the house. When we get up in the morning, of course, it's time to get ready to go to the racetrack. And so we stopped at, I want to say it was like First Watch or something. Okay. And we gonna eat big at the, they barbecue. They got the grills it's like the Chiefs Stadium. When they got a game, that's how the drag races are. Everybody got grills, food everywhere. So he said, let's just get a little something to knock the edge off. So we stop, we get something to eat. And I think the total bill for the three of us was like $19. And the lady put it on the counter, and she was like, and then he said, put it on the table. And then he said, how are we going to do this? And I looked at my brother, and I'm like, bro, we done flew 1,100 miles. We done spent money coming down here. And you're going to ask how to split a $19 ticket. So I threw a 20 on the table, and I told, y'all get the tip. I'm out of here. I went outside, and I stood, and my brother knew I was mad, because I'm like, you ain't never did nothing for us, bro. You can't pay for this little, I'm just saying, not that I need you to, but I'm like, shoot, dude, your son's coming down here to see you. Hey, I got it, $19 here. Yeah, but that was cool. So we let that ride. So long story short, After we went to the races that day, because it's really a 4-day event. It's Thursday through Sunday. The finals is on Sunday, but you stay there as long as you want. We leave, and I said, let's go to the mall. And my pops was like, nah, I'm not taking y'all to no mall. I said, y'all didn't come down here for no mall. And I said, who you talking to, man? I said, I'm grown. I told you I was in my 30s. I said, you either take me to the mall or let me out and I'll go rent a car. I said, Steve, I'm going to rent this Vet. This is what I told my brother. I'm going to rent a Corvette. And me and you, we're going to drive up the coast and do all the stuff we want to do. We don't have to be subject to what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, no. Wait. I'll take y'all. I know. And so, he calmed down. But I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, I mean, you not Pops. You more like, this is my older brother. Yeah. He got more than you do, but you're not going to tell me I can't go do something and you ain't never been there. And even if you was, that ain't the way to go about it because I'm not asking you for nothing. I got my own credit card, my own, little change at that time. I was going to go rent a car.
You don't think that's what he felt like y'all was doing, though?
Like what?
Asking him for it. Because
no.
And the initial thing y'all thinking, I ain't taking y'all to the mall. Y'all didn't come down here for that. The way you said it felt like he thought that. So I'm not taking y'all to y'all. I'm not just taking y'all in to take y'all somewhere.
No.
We supposed to be spending some time together.
But it wasn't that. We would have been spending time. You can come to the mall with us because, this is our trip back as adults to Orlando.
Yeah.
So I want to go get some, I'm an Orlando Magic fan, so I want some Orlando apparel. This is where I was born. Mm-hmm. Let me get some stuff. I ain't talking about going to Macy's. I'm talking about hitting the mall and get some stuff to represent Orlando. And so I think he felt like he wanted to do what he wanted to do. Like he wanted to go by some other buddies' houses and show us their cars and all that's fine and dandy, but I'll see that at the racetrack. You know, I want to do some things. I want to still see the city because, this is where I was born but not raised.
So he had his own itinerary
in his mind.
For y'all.
Yeah. So he ended up chilling out and he started to get a more understanding that, you got two. My brother's 4 years older than me. So Steve was like 39 at the time. And so he was like, Steve is with me. He's ride or die. That's he was the father figure. When something went right, he said, hey boy, don't do that, and whether I listened or not is my own, walk. But so I had more respect and still do for my brother because he's always been there, and so, but I still tried to be in that relationship.
So big bro was only down there because you wanted to go down there. So any way you wanted to go about this, he was going about this.
Right.
So how did he start to get better though? Like as far as y'all trip down there?
It got better. Like as we would go, he understood us more.
A few times, like going over.
We went from 2015. Or maybe, I want to say it's a little bit before. It's like 2013, till he passed away in 2019. So we got a chance to go about 5 times every year, and the relationship got a little better every time. I mean, everybody, like I said, we would go places and he'll say, this is my 2 sons I told you about. He like, what did he tell them, And so, people would come to the table. We was at another breakfast time and a lady came to the table and she said, Thomas, you done so well. These young men look really nice and they just respectful. And I got ready to say something because my brother kicked me under the table. And I looked at him and he's like, no, let him have it, because I was getting ready to say, no, you didn't taking credit. I'm going to give this credit to my brother, my moms, and my step-pops, and my grandma, and people on this side. You don't get to take credit for this because you didn't do a thing, not one thing. So, but I let him live. I did what my brother said. I just didn't say nothing. And she gave a lot of praises about us, and he's smiling and Chuck E. Cheese. And
he never said it.
Never said. No, he didn't. He went on and took all that credit,
So how this is what I'm trying to understand. Like, what made y'all go back after the first time? Because the first time, wasn't it a bit of a turnoff? Like with the way he was acting at first, or did it within that first time it started like turning?
It made us go back because as the races went on and the thing, and like I said, my brother, he was in the cars coming up. I got into cars.
Yeah.
I used to race motorcycles, and I used to just, I'm a daredevil, as you can see. I like that, and so we were infatuated more with the races and the people we were meeting, and then it was him too. So it was his world, and so once I used to sit and watch drag races with him, and it was cool because I enjoyed it. It wasn't that I was doing it because I didn't like it and I'm just trying to satisfy him. I really enjoyed it. And so we be like, we coming back next year for this. And then it became a time, we go out to eat different places, and it just became a brotherhood with a father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was cool. That's what made us go back. Just the event itself was what, it was hosted every year in November.
Yeah.
And so we knew, hey, we're going back every November. Yeah.
Going back to your stepfather,
Right.
You said he was a diesel worker?
Diesel mechanic.
Diesel mechanic.
Yeah.
Like, was that a pretty good job back then?
That was an excellent job. I mean, even to this day, if you, his name is Wendell White. Everybody called him Duke. He had a shop down here on 1508 Spruce, and he was the man. He didn't have a whole lot of higher education through the school system, but he could tell you anything about a motor, anything about a diesel truck, anything. I mean, he was, I think it was a company, R.L. Jones, big trucking company. They wanted only him to fix their trucks. And so that's what he did every day. That was his thing, just getting it in. He knew trucks forward and backwards. And he made a lot of money, as the years went on. Come to find out, I was hearing some stories about he was in the, 80s, he bringing in a year. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. You can't quote me on it, but
Yeah.
I'm ear hustling, and I don't know how he did, but he was making some bread, You work on a car and you do it on apparently on a diesel. I guess the labor is, 5 times more, on a diesel than it is on a car. So he was making some bread.
Dang. So with him doing what he was doing, hardworking man,
Right.
not really having the time to be there as much,
Right.
and not having your actual father there.
Right.
But you do have a figure there. And your brother is giving you some game too.
Right.
What was your idea? What was your understanding of a man while you was in the house?
Work hard. Work for everything that you want, and don't be out here asking for handouts. My stepdad, I'm a labor person. I've been to construction school, finished that. I was a union drywall finished for 5 years. I was an asbestos worker. I'm a barber. So everything I've done is labor. And he taught me how to make sure that I can put food on the table, because people can fire you from your job, but they can't take away your skill set. And so that's why I push my kids that either you're going to get a higher education through college or you're going to go to trade school, because when the times get rough, you still got to be able to put food on the table and shelter, So you got to be able to work with your hands and your mind. They can't take that from you. So he taught me how to get out here and work. And we worked. We worked from cutting grass to building go-karts back in the day to shoveling snow, raking leaves, whatever it was labor until I decided what I wanted to do after high school.
Yeah. Were those all the unsaid things you just learned those by seeing him, or was he putting stuff vocally on y'all, really saying things to y'all about life and how to move?
It wasn't so much life. It was just seeing him go to work, have his nice, no matter how, anybody that know him, no matter how dirty he got, he always smelled good. So his uniform is nicely pressed, and he would go and he'd come back and then greasy as I don't know what, but you could still smell his cologne and stuff because he believed in your hygiene. And so he told us, hey, you will come in the house and he'll be like, boy, you funky as a donkey. Go get in the tub, and you've been outside playing and you like, I ain't through playing, but he don't want no smell in the house. And so he made sure that he kept you, right from that type of deal, but he worked hard. And he taught us, make sure hygiene, make sure you get out here and you work. You find something to do to make some money. Don't just sit around waiting for somebody to do something for you.
So what were times like when you got to actually, I'm sure there were times when y'all got to spend time with him outside of his work and stuff. Back then y'all was drive through heavy. I don't know if it was
No, my mom cooked. You mean drive?
not drive through.
Oh,
Drive in.
We did drive in.
I always say the wrong drive in
Right.
heavy. Drive in is a outside for people who don't know, big screen outside where you watch the movies and stuff like that.
Definitely. We did every now and then we do drive-ins. We in the back. I'm in the back seat of his big Lincoln Continental, and you hang the things on your speakers on the glass and listen to the movie. We did that. He was big on I'm telling you, we had some great Christmases. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, the tree is just presents everywhere, and they tried to make sure that he got you, what you asked for. You know what I'm saying? I still got my Atari 2600 from when I was little with the 25 game joystick. Still got all of that. And he just, he made sure 4th of July, we had fireworks galore. He would meet people that had like the private ponds on their lake. On their property, excuse me. And we would go over there like in the summertime sometimes, and we'll go fishing or just whatever. And he wasn't no premium fisher, or nothing, but we were just out there having fun. We would jump in the lake. And so these were just far and few in between. That's all. Now, Christmas every year, 4th of July every year, but the other stuff was when he could, because like I said, my mom was a housewife, a homemaker, and so she took care of the home so if he don't work, we don't eat.
So as a kid though, did it feel far and few in between, or you just realized that now that you were older, like, dang, really?
Probably now that I'm older, because it was, but I'm gonna tell you, I was an outside dude, so I didn't care if he went somewhere with him or not, because I got the BMX bike, and me and my boys in the neighborhood, we got skateboards. We would build, we get on the bus and ride down to 39th and Truce from 72nd and get a small engine and put it in a box and carry it back and build a go-kart, at Ferguson's on 39th and Truce. And so I was an outside dude. I didn't care about, it was like, I didn't need the parental stuff going on, because I would rather be with my boys. We having a great time, from playing every sport, every season, whatever season it was. If it's baseball, we had baseball going on. We did our own thing in the neighborhood. And so you didn't miss the parenting, so to speak. You didn't miss that. But when you did get to do it, like driving down to St. Louis to see my great grandparents, we get in the car, he drive, we go. It was just little times, or Chicago, whatever we did, we had a good time. Yeah. So I can't take nothing from him. He did, and he had 6 kids of his own prior to him and my mom getting together.
And y'all merged just
We
fine?
had a blended family, but not all. His kids were older. I'm the youngest. If you're going to put the 8 together, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
And so he basically had the youngest boy, which was Mondo. I think he was with us at one time, and Chris, and then my brother and myself. So the most I think we ever lived together was like 3 or 4 of us, but it worked out, It was cool.
I imagine y'all didn't have to go through sneaking in the drive-in or nothing like that, because he was well off. Well, he did pretty good for
I won't even say it didn't appear to be well off, because we didn't know no better. I didn't know no better. But I'm going to tell you, when I look back, my brother and I went to Catholic school all our life, except for when I got to high school, I switched. But we went to St. Therese Little Flower on 58th in Michigan, where all the fellas went, and all my partners went. And you had to pay for your kids to go there. And so
all your partners from your neighborhood went?
Yeah. My boys that I grew up with, not all of them that from this neighborhood or this neighborhood when we moved, but my best friends were at St. Therese. That's where I met, where I've been there since Montessori. It was Montessori, then preschool, then kindergarten. So I was like a daycare kid at St. Therese all the way through 8th grade. And so I stayed, I was around my same people. And then when we moved on 72nd, you meet other people that go to Bingham and all the other Marlboro and all the other schools in the area. You kind of, blend with them too. But yeah, I went to Catholic school. My brother went all the way through Hogan. I went to Hogan my freshman year, and then I left and went public school.
Yeah. You said your mother was a housewife?
Yeah.
A housewife. Yeah. So that means she was always in the house when you needed.
Always at the house.
So what was y'all relationship like? How did she?
Mom was cool. Her mom was cool. They had their Pokino nights. She did Tupperware parties.
What's Pokino?
Pokino is like gambling bingo.
Okay.
So you got these big old cards, and they got playing cards. So King of Spades, Jack of Hearts, or whatever it is, all the playing cards, and you turn the cards over, and then you put your chip on that card, just like bingo. And they have a pot of money, and when you get them all in a row or Pokino, it's like yelling bingo. So it's the Black American version of bingo. Okay. And so they would play that, man, and I mean, just the kids would be outside, they'd be inside. My mom was cool, but she was a disciplinary though. She stand there at that wall with that belt or that extension cord, and she asks you a question, and if she even think you lying, she's swinging. Mm-hmm. She's swinging. Mm-hmm. So she didn't play when you acted a fool. You know what I'm saying? So which was cool. I get it now, but then I was like, shoot, mama, ease up. You know what I'm saying?
So you was getting a lot of whoopings?
Being managed, I got my fair share. Yeah. Maybe threw something in the house and broke something. Tried to blame it on my brother, but she knew he didn't do it. So I take a good one for the team, Yeah. But yeah, or didn't come home when I was supposed to, that kind of deal.
What was like the worst thing you did to get in trouble, like get a whooping that had her ready for you?
The one whooping that come to mind is not coming home after school. So she didn't know where I was till nighttime when I went over my partner Eric's house, and we would play basketball and hang out over there. And so, I tried to lie and tell her that I called her at work and she didn't answer, to let her know where I was at, and she wasn't having it, man. Yeah. She went belt crazy in there. I started to run away, but didn't have nowhere to go.
There wasn't no cell phones back then
at all.
Hit moms like, it was a house phone, but
rotary. Yeah.
Yeah.
0 was your emergency. It wasn't no 911.
Damn, was it the emergency back then?
Just 0.
I remember because
you get the operator.
Huh?
You get 0, and it goes back around, and the operator pick up, then you tell him what you need.
How old was you when you stopped getting whoopings?
Probably, I was young. I probably didn't get a whooping probably after 6th or 7th grade, 6th grade, somewhere in there.
Was it one of those things like, hey, mama, I ain't gonna be taking no more?
No, it was more like, I'm gonna try to be a little more discreet and sneakier than what I'm doing, and so I won't get in trouble. But overall, I can't lie to you. I was a pretty decent dude, Going to school and talking to teachers, their biggest complaint was me and my brother talk too much. Okay. I love to crack jokes. That's my thing. I live. If you want to have a good joke, let's get down. I crack some jokes, and so I've always been like that. But we did our work. We did our school work. Wasn't no super scholar, but when it was time to get work done, I could do it. So I didn't have no problems really with moms. Moms was cool. Love her to death. She's still here. Yeah.
What exactly is it like going to a Catholic school? Like what exactly is it?
Okay, it's not like what you see on TV nowadays, because they got the Catholic with the whole situation with the priest and stuff like that. We went to the inner city Catholic school, so it was like St. Martin de Porres, it was St. Francis Xavier. These were all St. Therese Little Flower where I went, but they were mostly Black students there. And so, it was just like a regular day at school. It's just the classrooms are smaller, and the teachers are real strict on making sure that you ain't coming home. It's almost impossible to come home with D's and F's. That they just not having it. They just go make sure that you get your work done. Yeah. Especially with a small, you got 20-something people in the class, if that.
Really?
If that, yeah. And so it was pretty. The only thing that we hated was like growing up every Wednesday morning at 8:00, you had to go over to the church because they have a mass. So we sitting in church, and so that's when the community would come out. And so you got all these little black boys sitting around all these white folks and whoever else lived in there, and we didn't understand. We just got our uniforms on and know that this policy that every Wednesday morning, every week at 8 o'clock, we go over for mass from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, other than that, it wasn't no big deal. The teachers were just as normal as you are. We didn't have, now they did have nuns and priests, but they wasn't actually teaching in the school. They just hired everyday teachers. And most of them were minorities.
Was it kind of like some Sister Act stuff?
Basically, that's how the students looked, but they didn't have no nun clothes on. Like I said, our teachers was dressed normal, and was real cool, Now all my teachers, Miss Hancock, Miss Sims, they all black teachers, So yeah, it was cool. It was, the foundation was set, and I appreciate my mom sending me to the school because now I understand structure. When I look back, I say if I'd have went somewhere else, I probably would have acted a fool. And I'm not saying that the public school system don't care. It's just they have so many more responsibilities because the school is so much larger that they can't possibly deal with this one acting a fool and still teach the class effectively all the time. But shout out to all those educators who doing their best.
Yeah. And the Catholic school, that's not like, is it all boys school or something?
No, it was.
What are the schools that's all boys school?
Rockhurst. Rockhurst is the all-boys school, and that's a high school. A high school. So, yeah, all the schools that I named, they were co-ed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so were they real strict on, like, the whole boy-girl thing, though, being at those type?
They
you
tried
said
to
they
be.
Discipline.
They tried to be. I mean, you still got paddled. You act a fool, you gonna get, a paddle with the big, thick board, 3 holes, and your parents already done told the teacher, that if they act up, handle your business. And so that kept us straight too, because Miss Gumble, she didn't play. I remember her like a T, and she's the sweetest lady, dressed real nice and had her little heels on, and she smiled at you, but she'll take you in there and sweet talk you. And I remember I had a fight, and I lost the fight on the playground. And then when you fight, both of y'all got to go see Miss Gumble. And I'm in there and I'm like, she pulled out this paddle and she said, you know what I got to do? I'm going to have to give y'all both, 3 swats with this paddle because there's no tolerance of fighting in here. And I was like, Miss Gumble, I don't think it's fair that I lost the fight. You know what I'm saying? I said this. So I said, I don't think it's fair that I lost the fight and I get paddled. So he getting just 3 paddles and he won, and I'm getting I lost the fight and I get 3 paddles. So that's 2 whoopings. So I was like, my whooping should be with me losing. And she was like, you tried. Told me up.
I'm surprised. Did she laugh?
Nah, she wouldn't laugh in your face, but when she told my mom, what was going on, I think they probably had a little comedy behind it. But I was like, yeah, that paddle was long, it was thick, and it had 3 air holes in it. She said that's to break the wind when she swing it. And somebody carved it out just for her. And you put your hands on her desk and you face forward and she just come from
in front of everybody?
Just whoever, like you sitting there because you next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you sitting there because you next. Because you the one that we had to fight. So, and she'll, pow. And you sitting there like, man, I'm next. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah,
that's how it was. But that's why I said when you think about that, you like, if you could whoop kids today at early ages, they'd probably be more mindful. But the system has taught them don't yell at them, don't put your hands on them, or we're gonna call DFS and stuff like that, And so like I said, I look back and I appreciate the system because it made me a more firm dad. I didn't beat my kids, but when it was time to get down, you getting one. You're going to get it because I need you to focus and stay straight. You only got one job, and that's to get your education. We'll do the rest.
Yeah.
So
did that set you on the path of like when you were outside, or was you worse outside?
What you mean? Like
when you were you in school, you getting disciplined. You at home, you getting disciplined. Outside, I was still cool. More aware of what.
I'm more aware, and I always thought, hey, if I get caught, my mama, gonna tear me up or something like that. But like I said, I just wanted to have fun, and I've done a lot of things that I shouldn't have, like everybody else or every other kid. But I'm grateful that I didn't get caught in some of the things that I did. So I escaped, you know what I'm saying? And so it's a blessing when I look back. But yeah, it made you more conscious because you don't like even graduating. I said, there's no way I can't, you know, uh, not walk that stage. That I embarrassed my mama and she worked too hard to get me here. So that's what made me buckle down and make sure I did my schoolwork so I could walk that stage.
And you and your big brother are the only two of your moms?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So and he's 4 years away from you.
Right. He's 4 years. He's leaving high school. I'm coming in.
Yeah. So how was that? I know you said he kind of fathered you in a sense, but how was y'all inner relationship?
Cool.
Coming on.
That was my dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He did the big brother stuff every Tuesday night. Mama go to choir rehearsal. When she shut that door, he said, "All right, now you're gonna do what I tell you to do." And so he would, like he the boss or something. And so we would have our little fights and stuff. And, and I had to let him know, you still my brother, but he, I'm talking about he young, but he always think that he run everything when the door's shut, and so if I didn't do it, he'd punch you in the arm and give you frogs and stuff. Remember the frogs?
Yeah, I remember the frogs.
Yeah, put the little knuckle like that, make your skin jump. But but that's just brother stuff. That's kid stuff. He, like I said, he wasn't no bully or nothing. And to this day, that is my dog. I mean, I'm telling you, blood, sweat, and tears. I can call him and he can call me no matter what.
Did he ever let you have control of the TV, or was he always in control of?
Man, I really wasn't. It wasn't even about that. Even when we shared rooms, I watched what he watched. He the one that had me off on Friday night and MASH and all the other shows. Yeah, wow. MASH, come on. We watched The Love Boat, Fantasy Island. He had me on all that stuff. So I kind of patterned myself after what he was doing. When he be with his friends, I try to hang around his friends. Sometimes I could go, sometimes I couldn't, because of the age difference. But yeah, he just being around him, I learned a lot of stuff from some of his friends, some mechanics and stuff. One of my brothers today is his age, which is his name is Pug, Carl Rice. He taught me how to do a lot of stuff to cars. I mean, he's still a handyman to this day. You got Booney, Carl Criswell, who is still phenomenal at everything he does, So I learned from my brother's friends, and they, older than me. And so him allowed me to hang around just helped me mold the rest of what I needed to know outside the home.
So you was a little more advanced in your friends and stuff like that?
Only in like certain areas, mechanics and stuff, because my next door neighbor, rest in peace, Robert Hack, he taught me how to fish, He's the one. When I graduated high school, I moved out right after graduation. And matter of fact, it's funny because my boy Pug, he signed for me. I wasn't older. I was 17 and he had to be 18. And he co-signed for me to be in the same apartment complex he was in. And so I was working at Sears and Roebuck down there on Truman Road, which is now the post office. And so I moved out. And it was days I didn't have no food, for real. I'm making $6.35 an hour, and I wouldn't make me full time. So I was 32 hours a week. So that little bitty check, my rent was $325, but I pieced it together. And it was days I opened that refrigerator, wasn't in there. Robbie said, "Let's go fishing." And we catch some bluegill and some crappie. He showed me how to clean them. And then we'll go to like Aldi's and get some canned goods, and we'll have a meal. Some Jiffy cornbread with that little box of like 15 cents. Make cornbread. So it was survival. And to this day, I love fishing. That's my second hobby, passion, that I had.
Well, I want to kind of jump back to something. Like you telling that lady...
it wasn't fair.
Yeah. How old was you then?
Wilma Gumbo. I was like in the 5th grade. I think that when
So you 10 years old.
Yep.
Or 10 or 11, 10, whichever
probably,
one you was.
Probably
then.
10.
Yeah. And you know how to, for lack of better words, manipulate it. Try to
finesse her. I did.
Try to finesse her. Right? Where do you think you learned that finesse from?
Man, I think that was out of fear. I do, because I'm like, I didn't mind losing the fight. You ain't gonna win them all, but at least you win them. You know what I'm saying? And he was older than me, but And it wasn't like he just, I mean, we kids. You ain't just beating the crap out of it, but
Yeah.
I lost.
I mean, for a kid,
Yeah, I
it's a
lost,
big,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But I didn't that paddle, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, man, I do not want to feel that, you know. We got on uniform, so the pants is thin, and you just you know what I'm saying. I just know she about to strike a match on me, and I just tried to whatever could come to mind to get up out of it. That's what came to mind, and
That's good advanced like logic at the age of 10.
Right.
That's why I'm like, somebody had to like be running some game around him or something for him to be able to just.
I can't even say that somebody gamed me on that because, like I said, it was I was around a lot of good people, man, and so I just can't recall nobody really. It just came to mind because I didn't think it was fair. Why I get to get hit twice? You know what I'm saying? And so it just came,
Yeah. Okay, sitting at that table for Burdens of a Man episode
Right.
on Behind the Armor, because a lot of people confuse the name of the platform
Right.
being Burden of a Man. So on Behind the Armor, the Burdens of a Man's episode, you got Ray, you got Wade, who both look up to you.
Mhm.
But I believe Ray may mention, and maybe Wade too may mention, we're able to talk to him because he understands where we came from.
Right.
So let's go back to that too. Understanding where they came from. How do you connect to that?
Being transparent as possible. They saw me, not so much Wade because Wade is a lot younger, but just the hustle mentality. Like I said, I had a good upbringing, and some of the things that I've done or got involved in, it was by choice because I just probably was being greedy. I wanted more, than the norm, and so I'm out here and playing basketball, cussing and acting a fool, just living life. If anything I could do to make a little bit of money, a little hustle or something, I'd do it just to help provide, you know what I'm saying? But nothing detrimental to somebody else's, life. But I hustled, I just did, just out here. And so now the man that they know now is the one that's been, I use the word transition all the time because when you get into Christ, you have to die to yourself. You have to die to yourself and then be resurrected under Christ. And so once I changed, they got to see no more fussing and cussing, no more running the streets and trying to, making his meat anyway. It's more now, how can I be a better example and a better person to other people? I need to be more respectful and more mindful of people. Try to diffuse situations instead of trying to be tough, just stuff like that. You like we talked about how you have to have broad shoulders out here or they're going to see it as a weakness if you don't. And so I had to let them know that just being humble ain't a weakness. My partner Pug used to always say when we get ready to wrestle or something, he say, I'm telling you, boy, still waters run deep. Now I understand that just because the water is calm, you don't know how deep it is. And so you can get yourself in a lot of trouble, People fear the ocean, but they don't fear a pond when a pond can be 30, 40 feet deep and you can't even swim. So, when he used to say that, so now I get it. Still waters run deep. So I'm going to be cool. I'm going to try to talk my way out of any kind of situation because I got love for people. I respect people, and one of the things I take pride in is being loyal. I'm loyal to my people, to you. I just met you second time, but you because of spiritual discernment, I feel that I got a peace around you. God blessed me to understand. Okay, now you, hey Damo, Strick, what's up? You need something? Yeah, if I can help you, I will. So that's just how I am.
So, Wade and Ray are
T-Ray.
Yeah, people know them or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for them to have somebody that they look up to, and there's a lot of hustlers
Right.
in our day or whatever, or before us now, but you stood out for a reason for them to be able to take information from and for them to let guide them in a certain type of way? What do you think it is about you that made them connect to you so well?
We all started our relationships around basketball. So we'd be at the gym and just being cool. Like I said, like I said, I wasn't trying to be nothing I wasn't. I did what I did. I had what I had, but I worked hard for it, and just being able to relate. I'm not judgmental. I don't, you do what you do. I'm just going to try to tell you, what I think, like my brother did, with my giving you my opinion and my feedback. The direction you're going may not be so good. Instead of publicizing or trying to front you out.
That's what Ray said.
That's not me. I want the best for you. So I should tell Wade, hey boy, you young buck out here, you doing it. I mean, everybody know Wade. Wade he's just that brother. He has that swag about himself, even from his apparel, the way he dressed, to his cars. And these dudes out here seeing this young dude doing that, not to mention, you got the law. They see a young dude living better than they living, and they work every day, and so I'm just trying to make sure I can keep them out of harm's way and let them know that, it's time to chill out. Get on, find something that you good at, and make money for you. Get everything legit. T-Ray, he's just funny. I mean, let's just be honest. That's my dude, and I think we connected because we both like to crack jokes.
Yeah.
But he was crazy. He was a firecracker. And so just to see how he used to have a funny story. He used to have Stop the Violence.
Yeah.
But he used to get into it with everybody. So one chick, we was at a kickball game. She said, Ray, you always promote Stop the Violence, but you be the main one starting it.
Mm-hmm.
And that never left my mind. I got to thinking, and that's what made me say, Ray, I see you transitioning and you starting to leave childish things alone. You trying to. I said, that made a whole lot of sense. You can't have Stop the Violent t-shirts, Stop the Violence, but then be out here ready to smack somebody. Now, you running this organization, what it's going to look like somebody catch you on video smacking somebody. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, so now it's kind of like, those are the little conversations that we had that we both saw that was funny. But he get it now. And now, like I said, I'm proud of him and Wade. I watch Wade he's diligent in his real estate stuff that he does, as well as his stock market stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where his focus is. He wants to make sure that he provides a better life, not only for himself, but his daughter and his family. And T-Ray the same way. I watched T-Ray, even though he was silly, he never missed a beat with his kids. You know what I'm saying? And so I respect that. Mm-hmm. And like everybody I hang around, if I'm with you, you take care of your kids. You won't be in this circle, Joey, my boy Joey, Joey Cuss. Yeah. He take care of them girls and his family, you know what I'm saying? And my boy Carlos, he take care of his family. Eric, it just, the list could go on. I don't want to leave nobody out, but the list is just deep. So I respect them now, and they respect me. But I'm older now, so, it's easier to kind of see where I came from. And then I'm 55, so I ain't out here trying to be silly. I'm out here trying to help lives be changed and saved. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all be talking like y'all so old.
55 years old.
Considering. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
Right. I got, Wade just turned 40.
Yeah.
If I ain't mistaken.
Yeah.
So
just turned 40.
That's 15 years on him. So you got to think, when he's 19 and 18 years old, I'm 30, 33. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're older. You're not
older, but
you're not old. But considering not even your age gap with us, but where you come from and where you come from and where they say the ages they say we're not supposed to make it to.
Right.
55 is pretty old.
Right. But absolutely.
In real life, like 55.
No, I feel good. I feel great.
Like I said, good.
Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. I feel great. I can still run up and down the court if I wanted to. I just choose not to because I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, I ain't tearing no Achilles or none of that. Plus, you got a cast on. You can't fly airplanes, so I don't want to risk that.
Makes sense.
Right.
And I do want to get back to family, but
let's go.
There's some before we go there. You said Wade as far as the cars and all of that stuff, but also when you were younger, you were into the racing and stuff like that, mm-hmm. But also building go-karts, and you had BMX bikes and all of that stuff. Right. So once you started hustling and able to get your own, so what type of stuff were you buying and
Same
into?
thing. Cars. I like like I said, I went to school for construction, and once I got out of the school, I'm making good money as a union drywall finisher. I bought the Navigator. The Navigator came out in '97. I had a new one in '98. And so I put 20s on it, which was the biggest wheel. And I'm out here just enjoying life, trying to floss like everybody else.
That's the one you say your grandpa called a station wagon?
Yeah, yeah. My great grandfather, yeah, he got in that mug, and you think you're doing something, you young man, and I go pick him up to take him to my uncle's house in St. Louis. And he got in and said, "Yeah, this sure is a nice station wagon." And I looked like, I said, "Daddy, that's a Navigator." But then, and when I look back, it wasn't nothing but a high-rise station wagon. It was the same, I got to think about it. It sits up high, but he's used to a station wagon. Same thing. So I got it then, but just a little pride of you having something a little nice, and he called it a station wagon. I was like, come on now.
That wasn't like no slick messaging or something he was trying to say back then?
No.
Did he know what you were into back then?
No. My
Oh,
great
okay.
grandfather is he retired in 1962. He was 1 month shy of 105 when he passed away, which it was 2001, if I'm not mistaken.
And you think you old.
And so, and so I've never seen him work other than in his garden. Because 1962, he retired. I wasn't born until 1970. Yeah. So all my life, I've just known him to just be around the house with my great grandmother. And they were married 75 years before she passed away. And so he was my American Idol. He was always calm. He took care of family. I mean, he owned most of the houses on his block until eminent domain took his property to build a mall out there in St. Louis in Brentwood, Missouri. But he was everything. And so just to have I was privileged to have my great grandfather get into my truck so I can take him over to his son's house. I felt because he was still old, in 2000. Let me see, I got that in 98. So this probably was 99. So he's 100.
So everything in his time was a wagon.
Yeah, 103, 102,
Yeah. So what did all of that mean to you, though, those purchases back then versus now? Back those purchases, what and why?
Success. It's like if you feel like you made it. Like I finally can get out here, I'm building some credit, I'm paying my own bills. It's just a low level of success. That's what it is. It makes you feel like, I moved out of my apartment into my parents owned another home on 66 Terrace, which I was purchasing from them. So I call that my first house, which is the same house I was raised in with them when my stepbrother stayed with us. So it just felt like since they still had the house, now I can get it. So I moved in there and started paying rent to own to them until I bought my original first house through the bank in 1997. So I felt just success. You just feel good, like all the school, all the whoopings, all the, bought lessons, taught lessons, education. I'm finally starting to be a man and do things on my own because age ain't nothing but a number. You're a man when you're out here taking care of your responsibilities, including yourself.
Yeah.
That makes you a man, and it ain't no age on that. I graduated and then moved right out. So.
Was it scary times when you was hustling?
Always scary times, like I said, because it's like you don't know really what you're doing. Everything you do is a chance. You're going off of somebody else's word. But now, mind you, let me back up. The Navigator and all that was after I was already. I had already went to school, and like I said, I was working construction, making about $25 an hour. So back in the 90s, that's good money.
Oh, okay. So when I asked about like the purchasing and stuff,
that's everything was just, it wasn't no penny and you out here hustling, trying to nickel and dime. I made life happen through work. It just, like I said, I was taking chances that I shouldn't have took, prior to actually going to school and getting educated for construction. Yeah. So that's where that was early 90s till early 90 to early 93, 94.
And that part came before children and all of that?
No, my oldest son, TJ, rest his soul, born in 1990, April 1st, 1990. That's my oldest boy.
Okay.
I have 4 children. I have Anthony Jr., who would have been 35. I got Armand, who's 32. My daughter, Alicia, and she's 26. And then my baby boy, Aiden, he's 20.
She's all adults.
All adults.
Yeah.
2 still in college, though.
So, you made mention of something else early, or when in Christ, you have to die to yourself.
Right.
Right. And I feel like that in dang near every relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like in marriage, you definitely have to die to yourself.
Oh my God. And sacrifice.
And sacrifice.
Right.
So how does that translate into relationships or marriage for you, like dying to yourself?
That goes back to the word sacrifice, of course. You die because growing up and hustling, and when I say hustling, it don't necessarily mean illegally.
Yeah.
It's just hustling, trying to survive out here. You come to a point where everything you get, you earned, you worked hard for it, you don't want to share it. So I was selfish. I was selfish in a lot of relationships because it wasn't ours, it was mine. And so I had to learn with my wife that things are ours. I don't care who bought it. It's ours. We work together. You still got a job, and somehow, some way, the resources that we have, we bring them together. And so I had to die to myself. Like, I got to stop saying mine. I don't care if I bought the house before I got with her. This is our house. She has a home. She needs, because at first I was like, nah, this is me, and I had to really shake that. And I seen that it caused problems for her, but she was young. We got together at a young age. She was young. She was 19, one semester out of college, and then I was about to be 24.
Okay.
Or was 24.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
both was young. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And how long y'all been married?
We've been married 25 years, together 30.
Okay. So how many of your kids is by her? 2.
My last 2 are by her. My oldest 2 boys are not by her, but they called her mom. She loved them the same. And that was one thing special that I say about her that made me, when we met, it was no intent on getting in a relationship, but the way she treated my 2 boys, it was like, wow, like, you don't even have kids. And she worked at a daycare at the time, and for her to see how she nurtured those boys like she was their mom, it was amazing to me. And that's what gave me more attraction to her. Mm-hmm. Because I used to tell her, if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't know if I could be that dedicated to your kids, and I didn't have none. So I was just trying to be honest. But yeah, it was tough times, but she made it happen, and they loved her all the way, and still do.
What was the toughest? Because I know you said like the claiming the things that you had before her or whatever. But what was the toughest thing for you to die to, as far as innately, like, to die to within a relationship? Like,
getting to a point where I listened to her too. She had a voice. Like I said, I've done things my way so long that I thought, you come to a thought process where you think your way is the best way because you better than anybody. But sometimes people can see things in you that they can bring out of you to help you progress. And that's what she did. I began to, instead of fussing and trying to be dominant, I began to listen a lot more to her to see what her thought process was, because she's very smart, very bright. And so, when you get to listening to her, she's a reader. Mm-hmm. So she'll read, and so she gets information. That's how you get information. And so I was like, okay, I asked her, what you think about this? And then I tried her way. And, you just have to, like I said, I had to put myself, look in the mirror and say, you're not all that, somebody out here can help you, Yeah. And that's where the dying to myself came in, and allowed my wife to be instrumental in my walk as well.
Yeah. Was it nothing you heard, or any type of mentoring, or somebody like, what you doing, slapping you upside your head? Not really slapping you upside your head, but you know what I'm saying? Or any situation that made you realize, wait, I'm doing this too. I'm tripping.
A situation that made me trip is, made me think about I was tripping was when I had some situations out here in the streets.
Okay.
And I shouldn't have been where I was at. And I got to thinking about, man, this ain't how I was raised. My mom and stepdad and grandmas and everybody put everything deposited into myself and my brother to make us better people. And we out here straying away from the path in which they laid for us. And so once I got past that situation, I began to say, you know what? I'm going to straighten up because this is not what they had in mind for me. And so then when I got with my wife, Mary, we young, like I said, we going at it. I just couldn't figure it out how to be in a relationship and not be the male figure that everybody wants you to be, like
Yeah.
that you run everything. And I didn't know how to step back a little bit and let her, have some way. And it took a long time. It took 5 years for us to be together before we decided to get married because I just wasn't a nice person to her. I'm gonna say it. It was times. She loved me and I was cool, but if it wasn't my way, I'd just be mad about it. And now when I look back, I'm glad that I changed because here we are 30 years later.
Yeah.
And I always ask her. I say, "Baby, anything I can do for you? Are you comfortable? You enjoying life?" And she say, "Yeah." So it ain't perfect. Now, don't get it wrong.
Oh no.
People think in ministry is perfect. Now we done been to counseling with our pastor and first lady, a few times because we got to a point where we was at each other and we just couldn't find that joy that we thought we was searching for. And so through listening to them in prayer and watching Christian movies and sacrificing and all of that, War Room and all that good stuff, we decided to make it work. And here we are now. We don't have to make it work. It works. It works.
That was tough. I know I got it. Like as far as relationship with my wife, my children, or anybody, I think podcasts and listening to other podcasts, YouTubes, and because we have so much access to things now
Right.
and all of that. I didn't necessarily go to the church and ask for advice or whatever. I got it off of pastors on YouTube or podcasting and stuff, and just listening to some of the things they're saying and stuff, or either like fellowshipping at work or something like that, and like taking in some of the things people say and implementing it into my life. And I'm like, wow, this is better than just being like me because, like you said, you gotta die to live, bro.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
gotta die. You have to die in order for this relationship to live. It can't be all the way you. It can't be all the way her.
Right.
Both parties gotta die and let God come through there so it can live. So I started going through because I'm like, bro, it's a reason why everybody's saying whatever this is about me. My children is saying this. My wife is saying this. Like, let me start actually doing some shadow work and actually start, working on myself. So I got a lot of that stuff through podcasting and videos and stuff. Like I said, movies, like you said, it even give me a different understanding of certain movies when you really start diving. That's like I look at movies completely different and understanding why they're in this situation and why they're doing this, and it makes me I may not agree with things or everything my wife say or everything somebody else would say, but I can understand where it may have come from. It made me a better listener, better understand. So yeah, mine came from that. I haven't necessarily sat in front of like a pastor or anything to get that.
Well, the only reason why I sat in front of my pastor is because we're the same age. We graduated from Southwest class of 88 together. And so I knew how he was in the world. And then when God called him to lead a congregation, I watched the change and to see how he changed his life. And I mean, he put himself in that word so deep. And to this day, he lives his life. He may not have much, but he's grateful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so just to watch him change, I can trust him. And so not only were we brothers, partners, but he's my pastor. And so because I know his walk, Pastor Kevin L. Harris Sr., New Vision Christian Church, 9101 Blue Ridge. But yeah, but that's just my brother. I mean, I love him to death, and when I got in ministry, it was up under him, and so he's my father in the ministry is how that works. And so, even though we're the same age, but I learned from him, and just try to stick with him, and be like, it's whatever you say, Pastor. If it's according to God's word, I'm with you 100%. And even though I may dislike some things that was going on in the church previously, I vowed to God that I would never leave based on my emotions, but by his side. I'm gonna stick it out until God tells me to go somewhere else. And so I've been with him. This is my 23rd year. I just finished my 22nd year. I'm sorry, 22nd year. This will be my 23rd this year in ministry up under him.
Yeah. Shows a lot of humbleness to be able to call somebody your age, your father in ministry and stuff, like, because a lot of us we kind of like, you my age, you ain't my, what I'm saying? So that, I think that showed a lot of like humility with you.
Absolutely.
Saying that.
Because he's my age, but when it comes to that word, he's a lot more wiser. God has blessed him with wisdom that I'm searching for. But his way to just break that word down, and he'll tell you, go prove it, go look for yourself. I'm telling you what the words say. It ain't nothing I made up, because he does word study and he does a lot of history studying on the back, areas of the Bible and stuff like that. And it's just amazing to watch. I tell him all the time, if you had applied yourself like this when we was in high school, we'd probably be rich. That's how in depth he is with that word. And so I'm just appreciative to even be in the presence of someone my age that really has that knowledge of the word and help me along the way. He never, when I was acting a fool and he stopped acting a fool, he never stopped hanging around me. He would always invite me to church, stuff like that. And so his desire was to go back for his friends and family and bring them to the word. And that's what he did.
In a non-judgmental way.
Yeah, absolutely. He ain't never been judgmental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we go a little deeper into that transitional period and what that was like for you, from doing the things that you loved in the world and you the flesh liked and all of that, to actually, it's not an easy process.
It's not.
To leaving what you really want to do something that somebody you can't even see.
Going to those Bible studies that he invited me to, even though I was in the world, that was very instrumental at that time, because I was still trying to find my way. But like I said, I don't want to take or discredit my mom, because she raised us in church at Greater Corinthian. And so we had a foundation, but I strayed away from that foundation. And for my brother, Kevin, to Pastor Harris to come, get into the word and then come and try to bring me back to the foundation in which I was raised, was a blessing. And so my biggest fear during that time was, once I began to go to Bible study and then I began to really enjoy it, because now I'm learning the word. I'm not just going to church hearing a sermon. I'm actually learning the word. And I'm like, so then he would have private Bible studies with the fellas. And, and then we would, have just fella time, but now we're using the word. So we still joking afterward. We still having a good time, but it was in good, clean fun. And so then it became a time where I said, I'm done with it. Cold turkey. I said, I'm done with all the foolishness. This is where I want to be. And so my biggest fear was coming to my peers, my other partners, and telling them that, because I was this way one minute, or even my wife at the time, I was this way last week or 2 weeks ago, but now I'm going to go into ministry. I was really nervous about telling, some of my friends, because I figured they was going, oh man, you just faking. And, and when you have people in your circle, you care what their opinion is about you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was blessed, man. God touched their hearts and they all just said, I knew it. I'm like, you knew it. He's like, man, I could see it. I could see you starting to, you ain't never been a bad dude, but I can see that since you've been studying this word that it changed. And I stopped everything cold turkey, smoking weed, drinking heavily, all of that. I stopped all that and cussing. Yeah.
In that same sense, like, no pun intended, but you realize, like, with the way he was doing it, y'all could still be homies and have fun and hear the word or whatever, because you find God in you in that way. So God is not so strict as far as you can't do this or do that, or
Right.
you know what I'm saying, you can't have fun with the word or whatever.
There you go. Right.
But he is a lot like Strick.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
Yeah, he's a lot like you.
Right.
And that the word is a lot like the Bible is a lot of you in there
Mhm.
coming to be a better person. So
Right.
a lot of times we hear people talk about God and we just like, oh shoot,
Here we go. Right. Right.
I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I think the way we present the word to people a lot of the times is what make people run away from it.
Right.
You know.
Also, it's the fear was being alone. And what I mean by that is when you go into ministry, the homies don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So ministry is a lonely walk. You know, I spent a lot of time praying for my homies. You know what I'm saying? Praying for the brothers out here. Some places I couldn't go no more, you know, because it doesn't look good to hang out here. Now, I'm not saying that I couldn't go back and tell them a word, but just the hanging out, you know, I can't sit outside on the steps and drink a alcoholic beverage and shoot the breeze with them no more. All that had to change. I had to pull up. My stop was, how y'all doing? Checking on everybody. You know, if you need something, you know, and I can help you, I'm available. I'm still your brother, you know. And they respected that. A lot of them said, what I do out here, I'm not going to bring around you. And that was a blessing, but it also kept them. We didn't get called as much. And, you know, it wasn't a lot of conversation.
So they didn't open up to you about a lot of stuff that they used to.
They stay away. You know, they don't want to
Yeah.
disrespect my walk. But again, I don't do what they do. So ain't no need in calling Strick. He ain't gonna smoke no weed no more. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm left out. But again, it's really a blessing because it helped me get in tune with God to be molded by Him to become the man that I am now. Because now I understand humility. I understand what it means when you say you love somebody and you want to help them. You know, when you love, that means you forget about yourself and you willing to do what you can to help them. So.
How did it first feel though, like knowing your friends can't come to you? Cause you said it felt lonely, of course, but knowing like the same things they would talk to you about, there was nothing after they felt like they can't come to you about these things no more.
It felt crazy, but at the same time, it was like you said, you know, they don't be like, oh man, I don't feel like hearing this Bible, you know. And I try not to come off like that. I try not to, even today, when I invite people to church, I just give you an invitation. I don't press you. I may, you know, crack some jokes about some of my close friends, you know, like, you know, when the last time you been to church, you know, stuff like that. But I believed Pastor Harris showed me how to be a friend to others, like he was a friend to me. And so when I go back and encourage my brothers that was out here, you know, I had to do it in a humble way, but show them that I'm just extending an olive branch and I'm extending a way of helping. Not so much, you better read the Bible, you know, because I'm, like I said, I'm not perfect. Every day I ask for forgiveness for something I may have thought or anything, you know, it just, I don't ever want to come off like I'm better than somebody or perfect. All I'm doing is just trying to make sure I change me to help somebody else be a better person. That's all.
If you don't mind, can we expound on that a little bit more? Like the things you may still may come to your head or you still may struggle with that you have to fight off with God.
Right. You still get the temptations of the world. You know, I still have desires for nice things. You know, I like to see people in really nice cars, and some of my favorite cars are so expensive I probably will never own. But you know what I'm saying? I like looking at nice cribs. It's just that lust. Like, to me, that's like telling God I'm not satisfied, and I live pretty decent now. You know what I'm saying? Never would complain, but just to say that, you know, it's like I feel like I gotta apologize to God because it seems like I'm being selfish and I'm not satisfied from where He brought me from to where I am now. And so, or even I might say something, you know, I'm in a barbershop, so ain't no telling what conversation gonna come up, and I may say something and I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't have said that because that's not, it doesn't look good or sound good coming out of my mouth, you know. People know me, and I'm gonna say it straight out. They know I like to do parlays. You know, hey, if I think you're gonna throw a touchdown, I like to bet on it, but it's not because gambling has a stronghold on me. It's fun to me. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't
It makes the game funner to watch.
it does, but it don't take away. I still tithe, pay my tithes and offering. I take care of my family. I pay all the bills I'm supposed to pay, but it's fun to me. And so I don't, you may hear somebody say something, like you a minister, you ain't supposed to gamble. And I'm like, well, where does it say that at? And I say, you saying it's like the word, but you really don't. It ain't no scripture in there to say you shouldn't gamble. It ain't like that in the Bible. It's when you put something before God, that becomes your God. So what I do is I don't go and say, I need to put this money in this machine to make my rent or to feed my family. No, that dependency comes on God. I depend on him for survival. And he gave me the knowledge to work, to labor, to make the money to support my family. The little extra, I may bet $10 on a parlay just to hope that I get blessed enough to win 50 grand or something, but that $10 could have been spent on a McDonald's meal or something else. It's not taken away from my family. And I'm not encouraging people to gamble. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just being transparent that you come here saying the Broncos ain't no good and we're going to beat y'all. And I'll be like, well, bet, because I'm a Denver Bronco fan. Everybody know that. My station's decorated Denver Broncos. And so bet. And so when we beat the Chiefs, it was time for them to bring all the tithes to the storehouse.
I don't even want to get it.
I know you don't, but I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it real with you.
I get you.
But it's just entertainment. That's my entertainment.
I understand.
I don't have any addictions. My addiction is chocolate, if I'm going to say. I cannot stop. I'm telling you, put some Snickers and some Twix down here, and you got a brother. I could be on the strictest diet, and I can't. So that's why I've been trying to get off of that, but it just that's the only thing, I don't have nothing that's gonna take me away from the Lord or my family because I'm addicted to it.
Even talking about like the things you want, I think there's a confusion right there too. Like as far as like people getting mad at ministers when they got big houses and the cars that they like to. I don't, and you could correct me if I'm wrong too. I don't see the problem with that as long as they're not putting nobody else out and as long as they're doing God's. Then people in God know what they're supposed to do or whatever. Like, and then when you look at like King Solomon of the Bible and David and all those, they had.
Well, Solomon asked God for wisdom. And he said, because you asked for that and not the other stuff, I'm going to bless you in abundance with that. And so I agree with you. I think it's very selfish for somebody to look at a pastor and say he can't have a car of his, his desire when he's working. That's still a occupation. You're supposed to take care of the man of God. So you telling me it's okay for the congregation to pull up in Bentleys and Jaguars and all the stuff, but the pastor got to drive a minivan. You see what I'm saying?
The congregation is supposed to be giving off the word too.
That's exactly. So my point is, and I'm not saying every pastor out there, I think some of them get a little crazy with the 2 and 3 private jets and things like that.
$63 million.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm talking about a modest pastor because you got to remember some of these pastors wasn't always pastors. They had occupations. So it's a lot of them are lawyers, doctors. So if they got money already, so when they become a pastor, they can't spend the money that they earned. I think the focus should not be on the man, but be on God. You look and see if his steps is ordered by the Lord, and that's how you look at him and see if if you want to follow him. Don't look at his material things because if I ever came up in abundance, I already told my pastor, whatever car you want, I'm gonna make sure you have it. Whatever house you want, if I can get it, I want you to have it because I know what his walk was. I know, and he is. I know how he feels about God's people. I mean, he sacrificed his whole family, raising his kids in church who are now grown, but they was raised in church. Every time he had to open up the church for counseling, Monday night, whatever is going on, Tuesday night what's going on, Wednesday Bible study, Thursday choir got to get in there, Friday, a man got to come fix something, Saturday Bible study, Sunday church, they was there. They was raised at church. So he missed out on a lot of, because he dedicated himself to God. And now they all in church and they serve at our church. And it's a blessing that they understand and they love their dad for the way he did it. And that's a blessing to see that, because a lot of kids get rebellious because they didn't get to have the fun life that some other kids had.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely crazy for people not to think these people have lives too and things that they want. Also, people who get into ministry and don't have other jobs. Sometimes they make books.
Right.
Sometimes they write books. That's their own money.
My pastor got 3 books, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and is he making a lot of money off of it? I'm just being honest. I doubt it.
But if he did, it's a problem.
But it's not right, because he sat down and wrote it. So it's not a problem. I think, when God's blessing you, he's going to bless you. You know what I'm saying? And if he decides to get Pastor Harris whatever he wants to congregate, that's your own mental. I think they serve hard, and that's a very, very, very rough area to be in, because everybody expects you to be perfect. Mm-hmm. He can do a million things right. He do one wrong thing and he's all over the tabloids, all over social media. So he has to live a life of trying to be perfect to man so that he won't be condemned. You know what I'm saying? And that's rough within itself. That's why I said I have to watch what I say. And sometimes I say the wrong things or may do the wrong things. And I have to ask for forgiveness, because I feel guilty. I feel so guilty when I disappoint God. And I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
I've done it a lot. I know it, but I won't talk about me.
I get you.
I'm selfish when it comes to that. I don't see your faults. That's between you and the Lord. Understood. But I know my own.
Understood. So, you said God blessed them, and that just made me think, like, I hear people all over social media, just people all over the world, period, talk about God bless me with this car or whatever. God bless me with this and that or whatever. But not all the same people, but a lot of those same people look at the pastor and be like, why does he have this car? Well, how come God didn't bless him with the car?
Right.
How come God didn't bless him with the house or whatever? So, why is it not the same thing for them? It's a heavy cross to carry.
It is.
It is a heavy cross to carry.
I was teaching new members class, and I had a gentleman there that told me the reason why he don't tithe is because, and we were on stewardship, which is your time, your talents, and your tithes. And that's what stewardship is, giving those from those 3 areas of your life to the Lord. And he said the reason why he didn't tithe is because he didn't want the pastor to drive a Cadillac. Mind you, he had a Cadillac. I said, you think that the pastor, see, that's when it's good to be behind the scenes. Our pastor don't even touch the money. We have a board, and so that kind of stuff just... He just can't say, give me $1,000. It don't work like that. You have to go to the board when you want to spend church money. So
how do you respond to something like that, though?
I just try to do it through teaching. I try to even tell him and say, why is it fair for you to drive a Cadillac, but he can't have one? It's not, this is his occupation. He had a job. He turned down a job to pay way more money than the church was paying because he felt more
purpose.
There you go. That's a great word. He felt more purpose in serving God and God's people than to go work for this company making a lot more money. And so he couldn't have the nicer things. I mean, he was driving a Honda Civic, a 19, had to be like an 82 or some Honda Civic with no air for years, and have his kids in the back. You know what I'm saying? Just to see that, and I'm like, but he didn't care. It was transportation. And to this day, he still don't care. It's transportation, and he wants to serve God. Yeah.
And we often gather money up to help somebody else going through something.
Right.
Meanwhile, since the pastor ain't complaining about what he going through, you wouldn't help him, because like you can come gather people on the side. The pastor may not say nothing, but you may gather people on the side and be like, hey, y'all don't know this, but he's struggling.
Have done that. And we were just about to come together as a congregation of our own and try to buy him a nicer car. And he was blessed through an uncle that gave him a newer car, a Ford Edge or whatever the little SUV is, and he was happy with that. And so we said, well, let's just gather some money and put it so that he can get it tagged or whatever he wanted to use it with. But it's still, the thought process ain't gonna never go away until I see my pastor have some of the things, that we as a congregation, because we got a loving church. New Vision Christian Church is a loving church. And so we want our pastor to have nicer things, but he's kind of like, no, I don't need that. He's so stuck on, let's just build this church up. Let's just build the education department, the youth department, that he's just selfless. He don't care about having those things anymore. But we want him to. So just one day prayerfully, God to say,
It's time.
well done, So
Going back to children.
okay.
Right? You had your first child in 1990?
Yeah, I was 19 years old. He was born April 1st, 1990, and I didn't turn 20 till August 27th.
Okay. Coming from the lifestyle you come from, or whatever you've been through in the world, and everything you've been raised to do and not doing the things you got into and stuff. Your first child is you don't have a manual through none of it, but the first child is kind of like what was your feeling through having your first child? Was your first child planned, or was it just?
Of course, it wasn't planned. I remember my brother opening my room door, and he leaned in there and he said, "Don't get that girl pregnant." He said that to me, and I didn't think in a million years I would, even though that was my high school girlfriend, and so she got pregnant. We had our son, and he's my namesake, Anthony Jr., TJ, and it was rough. She was young, I was young, and just trying to figure it out. We had each other, and she's a firecracker, I'm a firecracker, so we really didn't never have a good relationship after that, as far as being together, anything like that. He was young. We just tried to co-parent the best we could, and so that was it was a tough time for both of us, but again, we did what we could do.
Yeah. When you talk about your style of parenting for the first child, like, how does that look? Because like we said, you don't have a manual to doing it. Like, what did you take from? What did you put on them? Like,
I wanted to make sure that I was there, time, and then how we are. I'm young. I want my son to, if I got Jordans on, I want him to have some Jordans on. You want your little dude to look like you. And so I tried to keep him in nice apparel, and then, just trying to it was just like you learning on the fly. But also I had my mother, who was there to help me and coach me with some things, and I got a supportive family and friends around me, that helped me out, just telling me things that I needed to know. And if I needed somebody to pick him up, I always had a family member, a friend that could, get him for me till I got off or whatever the case was. So we had the support. We just didn't have the relationship. We couldn't see eye to eye on a lot of things because we both were young.
yeah.
And we were just, like I said, trying to figure it out, really.
And from Anthony to your next child?
My next child was by my ex-wife. I married her, and that's Armand. And so TJ was born in 90, and then Armand was born in 93, March of 93. Right. And so now that's my second son, but his mother and she and I were together for about 3 years, and we decided to get married. And it didn't last at all. I mean, my grandma made the joke that you didn't even give me a chance to pay my credit card off before you got a divorce. But yeah,
wow.
But again, it was tough. It was. I don't blame. I don't blame neither one of them.
Yeah.
What I will say is that it was tough being them, and it was tough being me, and it was tough with us dealing with each other. And so that was the trying to raise two boys by two different, I had to go on weekends and go get this one and then go get this one at another place. And so after we got a divorce, it was kind of like, I'm just going to focus on taking care of these two boys. This is my focus now. So I had to deal with what some people would call baby mama drama, but it was just me too. Like I said, it was me too. I was still trying to do whatever I wanted to do and be a dad too. you know, so it would be conflict. And so that's why I said, when I look back over it, I don't want to point the finger because
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't me, you know, I wasn't what I needed to be either. But I did take care of them and we did what we could to make sure, you know, you talking about young people that don't have property, don't
Yeah.
have, you know, we got just fill out application and get a job, you know, blessed to get a
Yeah.
job here and there. So
You bringing at all parties bringing children into the world while still trying to figure it out.
right.
So I'm gonna just keep it right here at these two boys right here,
Stay right there.
because you super young at that time
Right.
too.
23.
What was the toughest thing for you as a man? Not including the women, just you as a man at that time.
Being able to juggle parenthood and work and take care of my bills. Like I said, at this time, I was living in the house that I was buying from my parents, and it was rough trying to figure out, you know, just how to navigate now not one relationship but two relationships with two different, you know, mothers, you know,
Yeah.
my children, and it was rough. You know, it was times we didn't like each other, you know, and so we had, you know, you may not communicate or you may miss your weekend or just whatever. It was just a lot, man, and so I was just trying to figure it out, like how do men deal with this? How do, you know, because my brother wasn't ever in that situation. All his children are by his wife, you know, and so I didn't have no friends that had kids all over, you know, and you know, so I was just trying to figure it out.
So when we go back to the conversation, burdens of a man,
Mhm.
what is something you wish, uh, or you would try to get women to understand, but not saying they don't go through their own thing, about a man who's going, that's in that period of time of
Right.
trying to become a better man, but trying to please this
Right.
party, and make sure your children are taken care of too.
What I would say to a woman is, I would say, you know the character of the man that you having a kid with, and what I mean by that is, if this dude is just somebody you just having to deal with, then protect yourself because he may not be the best guy for you to raise a kid with. But the one that you do decide to have a kid with, know his character, and if he's a good man, let him be that to that kid. Let him be just as much of a father as you are a mother, because it was times that because we were not together, they put up the door like, well, you can't see him. You know, that kind of stuff when you're young, you know, that back
Yeah,
and forth.
yeah.
And that don't do nothing but hurt the kid, because now, because you and I not getting along, I can't see my kid, you know, and that would go on short. It wasn't long lived or nothing. It just, when you mad right now, well, then don't come get him tonight, you know, that kind of deal, whatever. But I would say just know that character and let that man work. Let him do what he do, and let him be in that kid's relationship. Don't ever step in front of a relationship between a child, whether it be male or female, and their dad when he's trying to be a dad.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
How often did you get those two together, your boys
They were
together?
raised together.
They were right.
Yeah, I got my boys. I had them your weekend, my week, every other weekend, holidays and summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like on Christmas, they get up. If they at my house, then they would go home to their mom's house later, or vice versa. They would stay to their mom's house, wake up on Christmas over there, and then come to my house in the evening. And I
Yeah.
keep them through New Year's. So I mean, we was pretty good. We worked together on that, you know, both parties, and the boys got to be with each other all the time, you know, and raised together.
Another hard thing about, like, especially when you know your boys got to go out to the world and stuff like that.
Right.
Another hard thing about trying to co-parent, or if y'all even trying in there, like having parents that don't get along, with each other. Another hard thing is, I may instill something in you,
Hmm.
and then you go over there and it's not the same thing, and they like, you know what I'm saying? So now when you
Yeah.
come over here,
Right.
I gotta do rewiring and stuff. Cause it's just like taking your kid to basketball practice,
Right.
and they don't practice the moves at home. So when they come back to basketball
Right.
practice, you gotta keep working on the same move. And there's no
Absolutely.
advancement. So I think that's another thing that's tough. Did you have?
I did have that. I experienced that where they be more of a friend, to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my son TJ, his mom wanted his ear pierced, and I didn't want him to have his ears pierced. I wanted him to have a choice, because some kids they don't want earrings when they grow up, and they don't want tattoos and things like that. And so TJ was like, he didn't ever get a tattoo, and he didn't want his ears pierced. So, I mean, he didn't wear earrings and stuff when he got older until he started probably getting his teeth in, all that stuff he started doing when he got older. But anyway, she would put him in. He come to me, I take him out. She get him, but go back to her. She put him back in. And I take him back out. And she called me and she went off, said, "You wasted my money." And I said, "No, I don't want my son's ears pierced because it makes him look like a cute little dude to y'all. I want him to have a choice."
Yeah.
And so, that I had that. And and that's what I meant when I say sometimes the mothers really fall in love with them boys, and they
sure.
They
like we the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that boy is that dude. And so they spoil them. They spoil them boys. And that's what she did. She did a lot of spoiling. And I was more of the disciplinary father. Like, if he made bad grades, you're not getting no new Jordans. Mm-hmm. You're not doing X, Y, and Z. But sometimes she didn't look at that. She just like, hey, this is my son. I love him. I'm going to get him what he wants, And so we would have a little conflict like that. But that stuff like that, to me, when I look back, it wasn't nothing to make the fatherhood or the motherhood be affected either way. It was just communication between us of what we wanted.
The communication is important though, because like sometimes that can make the child feel like, oh, this one loves me more and this one lets me do more, or versus this one just want to be strict. And
that's right.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said that, because TJ came to myself and my wife. He was in the 8th grade, about to be a freshman. And he told us, he said, I'm going to move back with my mama because y'all have too many rules. And we was like, what? He was like, yeah. He said, y'all got too many rules over here. And so it was like, what you gonna do? You get to an age where you about to be in high school, you can kind of choose where you want to live. But parent, you can't make them. And so, he went to his mom's house, and, it just, I guess she was possibly a little more lenient than I would have been, because you're gonna hit these books and you're gonna get in bed at certain times, you get enough rest, and you're gonna play something or do something other than just go to school and come home, so that you can, start learning how to, do team events and things like that, and then find out what you're good at. Yeah. So.
And I imagine the earring out, the earring in, earring out, earring caused a lot of confusion to him as a child. Like, what's the heck?
Well, he was real young. I mean, this is like
baby.
Yeah, I won't say baby, but toddler or a little older, little cool daddy. Yeah. 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever it was. But that little look where they got their fresh J's on, little boy. Yeah. And I just like, nah.
Now, I wouldn't think it was much of it could have been difference in the way you parented your sons at that time from one another, because they was raised together. It wasn't like probably much of a difference in you.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but now you got 2 more by your wife.
Right.
By your wife. How far apart is that?
What you mean as far as my oldest to my youngest?
Yeah, your 2 oldest to the 2 younger ones.
He's 32, she's 26, so 6 years from my youngest boy to my daughter.
Yeah.
And then my son is 20, so it's 5.5 years between my daughter and my baby boy.
So did you feel a shift in you as far as a parent, or any change in you as far as how you parented them versus how you...
Heck nah. I'm going to tell you why. Because my wife, we call her the warden.
Boy, the warden?
Yeah, she's the warden. She's high on education. And so, Armand, which is my second oldest, he came to live with us and then stayed all the way through high school and college and till he got married and moved on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he that structure for him, he loved it, because he was a kid he wasn't no trouble kid. You know what I'm saying? He was a great athlete, and just worked hard and very smart. In college, he got the award for having the highest GPA while playing 2 sports, and he worked a job. So you know what I'm saying? So he was about that life, you know what I'm saying? And so he didn't care. He's like, you don't have to tell me to do my work. And then my daughter and my baby boy are the same way. TJ was more like, I want to kind of do it my way. And he was a lot like me. He was kind of like, like I said, that was my first one. So he didn't I want to do it my way. And he was more of we wasn't the wannabe book savvy ones, the college type. We were the hands-on, the labor type. And so that was the difference, like I said, he wasn't a bad dude. Actually, he was very bright, very smart, funny in the mug, but he just was, TJ wanted to be hood. He wanted to be him, while the other ones was like, nah, I'm going to do what they say, So.
It's got a TJ.
All right.
You said he was a lot like you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were the times you seen you in him and you just smiled, and then the time you seen him and you like, dear Lord?
Right. The times where I smiled is the way he cracked jokes. Like he'll go on anybody, man, and he won't stop. And it used to just be so funny because I say, boy, if that ain't me, like
that's my boy.
That's especially when he cracked them jokes. That's him. That's my boy. But then the parts that really got to me is he was rebellious. It was like he had heard stories from family and friends or whoever outside people about me, and some of them were fabricated, making me seem like I was something more than what I was in the world.
Yeah.
And hustle mentality, and they didn't know nothing about me. And so this began to be, he used to say stuff like, well, I heard, Dad, you did X, Y, and Z and this and that. And I'm like, nah, son, don't listen to all of that. Just do what I'm asking you to do. And he wasn't hearing that. He wanted to be like, nah, I want you to tell me. I want to be that. He wanted to be this rapper, this street dude with street cred. That was his thing. He went and got the diamond teeth and all that stuff. He had a job. He worked at Ford, and he went and got a grill. And I mean, I think he spent 10 racks on that grill.
Jeez,
yes.
He got a grill.
Right. A real diamond out.
Yeah.
Diamond out. And so I used to tell him, why are you wasting your money on that? And he told me, he said, Dad, I ain't asking you for nothing. And I was like, whoa. Well, I said, you right. so then when he asked me, then he turned, it's super tough. He turned and asked me not too long after that for $100 go back to barber college for the application fee. And I wouldn't give it to him. I told him to sell a tooth. I said, I told you to save your money. He said, man, Dad, I don't never ask you for nothing. I'm asking you for this 100. So he called my mama like he telling on me. Granny, Daddy, I ain't never asked you for nothing. He won't give me this $100. And I said, nah, because I told you to save your money, son. And you wanted to buy $10,000 worth of grill, diamond grill, and ask me for $100. So I didn't give it to him. I think my mama gave it to him. No, I ain't sure. I think she did, but I didn't ever ask her, but I didn't give it to him because I was trying to teach him a lesson from that comment. Dad, I ain't asking you for nothing.
Yeah, because he hit you with one at that point.
I was like, whoa. Yeah. So it was cool though. But that kind of stuff just burn me up because he will not listen. And he had all the motivation, if he put his mind to something, ain't no telling what he could have been.
Mm-hmm. At what age did you start to feel with him? Did you start to feel that super shift in him to where it was like, all right, I ain't listening to Pops no more.
Teenage. Young teenager. When he started smelling himself, about 8th grade, they called me up to the school. And the reason why he told the lady at Benjamin Banneker, he told her the reason why he didn't, it was on Holmes. He said the reason why he didn't do his work is because we poor and we don't have no food, and he couldn't focus. Right. This is what he told the teacher. So they called me up to the school, and mind you, I'm pulling up in the school. I got a navigator with rims and everything. I'm coming into school dressed nice, and I'm like, why would you lie and tell them? He's like, I don't know. I just didn't do my work. And I'm just like, this dude just will not listen. He had a little girlfriend in the classroom, and he just was just acting a fool. He just would not, and I just like, that was my one. And I was like, I see me, but I had a little bit more humility when it came to my parents. I remember one time they said they was going to call his mama, and he said, call her. I would have never said that. And I think, and knowing her, she would have beat the brakes off of him too. But just for him to feel like he could say that, was amazing to me. So,
yeah, he his moment right there, not to call your mama moment, but the rapport and all that stuff. That was your 10-year-old moment when you would, manipulate
coming
the
over,
situation.
Right. Right. I said, boy, they see me out here pull up in this car, and you gonna lie and tell them, you know what I'm saying, that we hungry, we ain't missing no meal. Stop that, man. You just didn't do your work. Yeah, so the truth came out, but yeah.
But at any time in the teenage years, did it ever feel like pops and son? I know you never, he's always been your son, but I'm saying like when y'all hanging together or y'all, did y'all spend time together in this teenage year? Did it feel like he still embraced you as who you were to him?
I know exactly what it was with him. He told me one day, or he asked me, he said, Dad, how come you couldn't stay with my mom and we be a family? And so that I knew right then that that's what's been impacting him, because he see me with my wife, and we got a family with 2 kids, plus, his other brother is there. And he just felt like, why couldn't that have been us as a happy family? With his mom being the one in the house when he said that to me. And I just like, son, you don't know, when you're young, situations and circumstances happen. And I tell everybody, my kids they were all accidents.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I didn't plan. In other words, I didn't plan any of them. It was just that in the midst of, what you're doing, doing what you do, we had children. And so it was unfortunate that he was put in that situation, but we did the best, like I said, we could to make sure that he felt love. He had love from both sides of the family. So he just wanted, that was one question he asked me, like, why couldn't you be with my mom? And then, and when he got older and he see how she used to clap on him, you know what I'm saying? Then he's like, I see why you couldn't stay with my mama. This is when he's grown up. And I said, I don't know nothing about your relationship. Mine was different. That's how I would play it. Like, man, because she didn't play, boy. She's a firecracker. So.
And that's going back to you going to see your pops and being like, I kind of understand what you know definitely. What I'm saying? But another thing, did you take that opportunity, because you really didn't dive through it, did you take that opportunity of him asking that question to explain things, not to really dirt his mom or nothing, but to really explain things to him? Because a lot of us, when our kids are that young or teenage or whatever, we're like, bro, I don't have to explain nothing to you, or you just you wouldn't understand. But they're trying to understand. These are the times where their minds are really forming and stuff like that, and we just kind of we're not trying to show them away, but it's like I'm trying to not say too much over here. So did you actually take that time to actually kind of talk to him?
I did, like you said, surface. I kind of let him know that it had nothing to do with you, son. It's just that 2 people come together in a relationship. You have 2 different personalities, 2 different beliefs, 2 different ways of doing things, and then we just could never mesh. It wasn't, we just didn't, we don't hate each other because we got to take care of you, but at the same time, we just wasn't able to be compatible in a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, we got together in high school, and so you don't know what love is. You know what lust is, but you don't know what love is. And so he got it as he got older, but again, he got the time. We did fishing, swimming, out of town trips, you name it. My son,
Pops was there.
We was there. Yeah, definitely.
So in that moment, though, how do you think he received it, though, when you told him?
Like, yeah, whatever. That's some bull crap. You could have made it work. It's probably like that.
Yeah. So was he rebellious to your other 2, to your wives?
Kids? No.
Yeah.
TJ is, he's loyal. Now, what I will say is he and my second oldest got into it all the time because it was them 2 for a while. And they would go, he lied on me, he this and that. So they kind of grew up, and as they got older, they would talked to each other and everything, but it seemed like it wasn't just a good brotherly bond, and then when TJ came back to live with us as an adult, then he and Armand began to have fun playing video games and talking, trying to build up a somewhat broken relationship because of my Armand felt like TJ used to always get him in trouble because I was like Miss Gumble, both of y'all getting it.
Yeah.
So if y'all gonna do what I tell y'all not to do, and you say he did, he say you did it. Mama said, and Miss Gumble said, I'm gonna get both of y'all. That way I know I got the right one.
Yeah.
So he felt like he took some whoopings that he shouldn't have took.
Yeah, my big brother had to go through that.
Mine too. My brother took a whooping.
Yeah.
For drinking Mama's Pepsi because I did it and said we did it.
I remember one time I drank my grandma's juice she had on the side of the bed, and I was clumsy. I was drinking, and you had to ask to get some, and then when you asked, you wasn't gonna get it all the time.
Right.
They had to portion that juice and stuff. So one time she was in a wheelchair on a walker, so I knew she wouldn't make it there on time enough. I can sneak some real quick. Pick up, and I'm like 8 probably. So that jug is heavy, bro.
Right.
The big fruit punch Belfonte jug and whatever.
Right.
Pop it open, try to
get a gub
all over her bed.
Man.
I didn't know what to do. I covered it up and ran back, act like didn't nothing happen. She seen it. I didn't say my big brother did it, but I didn't say he didn't do it.
Right.
He was known for doing all the sneaky stuff.
Right.
So I let him take the blame for that.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were done.
Yeah.
The chair's moving, so my fault.
Oh, yeah, I let him take the blame for that. I feel bad.
Well, see, my mom's she was ahead of the game. She had put a mark on the Pepsi or a line on the back. We didn't even pay attention to where it's at when she left. And so when she come home, that line up here, the drink down here, she knows somebody drank her Pepsi.
See, your mom is petty like my uncle was.
Right.
Well, my uncle was petty, and I said this before, this was on the cleaning aspect. So this is how he knew if we cleaned something really well. We used to do teams, me and my little cousin. Mm-hmm. We'll team up. Whatever chores we had, we did together because there was a lot of kids in the house or whatever. Right. So we was the best cleaning team. And one time he was like, y'all clean that bathroom? Like, yeah, man, we killed that. We always the best. He said, did you clean the restroom? Yeah, we cleaned the bathroom. The bathroom is clean. Right. We go in there, walk us behind the toilet. It was this real little bitty ant he placed back there strategically to see if we. So that tells you how clean we had to be when we.
That's petty.
That's petty, bro.
That's absolutely.
And
petty.
We got in trouble for that.
Right.
But it taught me to be very, very clean.
Very good. That's it. Good.
So, going back to TJ, of course.
Okay.
You made mention earlier. You said he's not with us anymore.
Right.
You want to walk us through what happened, how old he was?
Okay. TJ was, I don't know what age he really started drinking.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Before we go there was another question I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
When he came back to live with y'all, was he a different person?
No, that's part of this story about the alcoholism. Okay. I don't know what age he really started drinking, but it was apparently TJ used to drink through his problems. And see, we didn't know it. I mean, he grown, he come around when he felt like it, when he wanted to. And so in 2019, he had an episode where he had to go to the hospital. The doctor thought that he had cirrhosis of the liver. And so that was July of 2019, if I'm not mistaken, the month. But
what exactly is cirrhosis of the liver?
Like it comes from drinking alcohol excessively. And so the doctor told him that your test came back negative. So if my advice to you is not to have another alcoholic drink. That's how let your do the right things so that your body could heal, because you don't have it. Because once you have it, I mean, anything happens, it's over with your liver, pretty much. And so that was July. So I said, you know what, you got to stop drinking, and I had that whole talk, and he said, yes, sir, I know. So he went on his way, and come to find out, TJ had been spent like 2 weeks uh, out of the house. I thought he was staying with his family, and he really wasn't. He was being homeless. And so he told me that on like a Monday night. And I said, what? But he said, I'm good tonight. And he said, but I didn't believe it. And I said, you know what? I went to sleep. I woke up Tuesday morning. I went to the shop, and I had like 3 or 4 cancellations. So it left me a big block of time. And so I went down. The Holy Spirit told me, go look for your son. And so he had already told me that he'd been down in towards the Westport area and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I leave work, I jump in my vehicle, and I went riding. And I went, first place I go is cut down to the plaza.
Okay.
And I get down there by the fountain, and I see a head, look like my son, sitting at the benches around the big fountain as you enter the plaza.
Okay.
And so as I made that right turn right by the fountain, I rolled the window down. I said, TJ. And he looked. I said, get your stuff, come on. And he came, he grabbed his bag and stuff. And when he jumped in my Suburban, he looked over and he hugged me, said, Dad, thanks for caring. He said, I've been lying to you. I've been living a homeless life for a couple of weeks. And he said, I had $15, and I took that and gave it to get them some bottled water and some hot dogs. And so I said, you know what? I said, you coming with me. Now, this is after the cirrhosis of the liver scare. And so I took him to Walmart, got him some socks, drawers, and stuff he gonna need. And then we got him some clothes later on. And then I moved him into my house in the basement, let him have that room down there, and got him a job at Taco Bell until I was able to talk to some friends who got him on at the city, And when he got on at the city, he called me one night and he was like, Dad, he said they stopped for snacks or whatever, and we had a liquor store, and it's just I'm just having, like, I said, son, just stay in the truck or stay strong. Don't go get no snacks or nothing. Just stay in the truck. And so he did, but apparently, when you work for the city, you got to live in the city, and they give you so much time. So once he got that job on the city, he had to move back into the city. So he moved over with his grandmother until he could get his own place again. Okay. And started drinking again, and we didn't know it. So one of my friends, Fari, called me, and Fari said, Strick, his grandmother lived right behind my boy. They backyards backed up so he could see the ambulance stuff. He said, I think something wrong with TJ. And this was 2020 now. Remember, he had the scare in July of 19. Now we had his birthday, which he turned 30 on April 1st. Okay. Now this is Friday, April 3rd. I got that call in the middle of the night, April 2nd at night, saying, I think something's wrong with TJ, man. The ambulance is over there. So I get up, and me and my wife, and we drive down to research where they took him. And now, remember now, at this time in April, the government just shut down COVID. Yeah. That week before, the last week in March, they shut the government down. So now he's at research. They won't even let me go upstairs and see him because of COVID. So it's all blocked off, do not enter. So I'm waiting downstairs. And so finally a doctor comes down and he says, it's not looking good, but he's stable right now and he's resting. And I'm like, well, can I go see him? And they was like, no, because of the COVID and all the stuff that's going on, we can't allow anybody up there. And I'm like, but I'm his dad. And so they said no. And his mom was there and the other side of the family. So we had both families there and we prayed together. And we went home, and April 3rd was that Friday. Now, April 3rd is a special day because that's my youngest son's birthday. Okay. My oldest is April 1st. My youngest is April 3rd. And doctor called at like 8 in the morning, and he said, I said, is he all right? He said, Mr. Stricklin, he went out on us. We had to bring him back twice last night. His organs are shutting down. And he said, I said, so what you saying? Do I need to come back up there? He said, I'm just telling you that if he goes again, let him go because he's going to be leaning towards being a vegetable. And so about 5 minutes later, the doctor called and said he's gone. April 3rd at about 8:05 a.m.
Yeah. Yep. Like 30 years old.
Yep.
So them not letting you, because this is during COVID time too.
Right.
And them not letting you upstairs that couldn't have been easy for you to
It was
understand.
it was terrible because I never did. Now on his birthday, I talked to him, and the last thing we said was "I love you." You know what I'm saying? And so that was a blessing that we were able to we tell each other that was our last words is that we love each other. So that was April 1st, that night of his birthday. I told him, be careful, you know, and I love you. And he told me, I love you too, Dad. And so April 2nd went by, I went to work or whatever. And then April 3rd, he passed away. And so, you know, not being able to go because of COVID, that was something I had to process. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was now I can't have a funeral because they didn't allow people to gather. So I give respect to Golden Gates because a friend of mine is uh, Damon Piggy and Damon Albritton are owners. Uh, and Damon Piggy runs it, and he says, Strick, because of you, you know, who you are to us, I'm going to let you, you pay for him to get embalmed, and then I'll set him up in our chapel, and I'll let your family, you know, individually just come. I can't have by law, I can't have a big gathering, but I'll let you see your son. And then I said, yeah, because I'm a cremating because I'm not, you know, we can't have no big funeral and can't none of us be there. Plus, you know, TJ had stopped working at the city, so now he didn't have life insurance, and he was too old for us to have. You know, I didn't have life insurance on no more because once he worked at Ford previously, and then the city he had that, and so I said, you know, I'm a cremate him because of COVID, especially. I wanted to have a service. Don't think the finances was gonna stop it, but it was instrumental in saying I'm not about to pay all this money because they charge you the same amount for a funeral, but could nobody come, and that didn't make sense to me. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Golden Gates. That was just the rule.
Everywhere.
And so, uh, so you know, Pig let me put him in the chapel. My family came through. We did our own little family thing, a little bit at a time. You know, we hugged on one another and gave him, you know, last hugs and kisses. And then I had him cremated, and then I bought a big old angel urn, you know, and I got him in an urn. And so when I went to his grandmother's house to get some of his stuff and help her clean out some of the stuff, we opened up the trunk of his car. He had a trash bag full of vodka bottles, little bitty, same brand. I don't know, can't recall the
Yeah.
brand, but a little trash bag, black trash bags in his closet, black trash bag full. And so that tells us that he was drinking privately and wasn't drinking water either. You know, that vodka was his substitute. And so that was cirrhosis of the liver, heart failure. That's what he died from.
Were all his siblings at the hospital when this happened to him?
No, they were actually. Let me see. And I can't remember where my daughter was. My daughter was in college in Florida, and yeah, my daughter was in college in Florida, and my oldest son was he had graduated college. I think I can't. Man, I'm getting old, bro. I can't remember the time. But my youngest was here. My youngest and it was on his birthday. So now I had to figure out how can we celebrate one side and then uh, be in mourning on the other side. So what I do now is I celebrate my son on his birthday, April 1st, and I celebrate my other son on his birthday. So I celebrate life for my son on April 1st, you know, just to myself, so to speak. I don't ever talk to my younger son about his brother passing on his birthday because my younger son was hurt because he asked me, why did TJ choose alcohol over the family? So
That is a tough question. Were you able to explain anything to him? If you
I told him addiction is something. People are addicted to all kind of things, and it's not intentionally that he's doing that. It's just that his body is craving it, and sometimes when you crave things, physically and mentally, you tend to give in to them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And it's like a hug you craving, like something to help you cope, something to help you.
Anything. I mean, it could be food. It could be whatever it is
Yeah.
that's your stronghold. When you want it, you want it.
Yeah.
And that could be a drug. It could be candy. It could be anything. Whatever. When you want it, you want it. And so, uh, the crazy part is my younger son never showed any emotion. So he may have did it behind closed door, but we don't know. I still to this day don't know how he truly, truly felt besides that statement that he was angry that his brother, because he was tight with his big brother. They was the gamers. They love video games. And so he felt like that TJ chose alcohol over him or us because he wouldn't stop drinking.
I'm no professional,
Right.
obviously, or nothing.
Yeah.
It may be very important to see where he is mentally and talk to him
Right.
about that kind of stuff, because you said he's never showed any emotion.
We never seen it. I ain't saying he hasn't, but
that's what I'm saying.
I don't expect. I mean, I kind of rationalize like he don't have to cry in front of me or he don't have to show. So I'm not saying he didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that he had a little bit of anger more than anything because he couldn't believe that he's 15 years old. He just turned 15. His brother just turned 30. And so he's like, dang, my brother that I play video games with, that he's gone.
Yeah. And just seeing the effect it has on him mentally now,
right?
Because he, like you said, he don't really talk about it. You don't bring it up like that, you know what I'm saying, around him.
Right.
So
I try not to.
It may be important he got to express that to somebody or something before he express it to the wrong people.
That's true.
And they lead them.
Hey, I appreciate that advice because several people have said, have you ever had a chance to grieve? Because I was telling them that I was skeptical about doing this interview because I get emotional when I think about my son because I've only talked about him vocally to everybody or outwardly to people other than the inside of the family is at church.
Yeah.
When they did a celebration of life for the church members who's passed on. And then I did it with Joy and Mike, Hollywood Cuts. And Joy, we went out to dinner one night and I told him this is my second time ever really expressing outwardly to somebody outside my home about my son TJ. And so when you said you wanted to sit down and we talk about this, I knew I was going to get emotional, which is okay. I don't care about showing emotion because I do it every time I minister God's word because of the passion and the love that I have. So that don't bother me. I remember my first lady, Jennifer Harris, said, don't worry about you crying. When you need to worry is when you stop. Yeah. That was powerful. Yeah. So I got to thinking, that lets me know that the passion is still there. The love is still there. And so I said, people need to hear this because it's tough losing anybody you love, but you just don't have an understanding of your son or your daughter because you expect them to bring grandkids and you live and then you go on and pass away. And that's your expectation, but God's plan is different.
And also with your youngest son too,
mm-hmm.
A lot of times we don't want to speak up on something or say how we feel about something because we think it's insignificant compared to the grand thing that actually happened,
right?
Or what everybody else is feeling. So we do keep it to ourselves, or we try to be strong on the outside and go cry to ourselves or whatever.
Right.
So, but again, like, it may be important, even if they're resistant at first. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying force it on them. Just every once in a while.
I think we need to sit down as a family. You're right.
Yeah.
I wanted my household to sit down and just let everybody get a chance to, because nothing was harder than, I do homegoing celebrations for families. I've done them. I've been all the way to the graveyard to do the committal. I've eulogized people, and nothing was harder than not being able to do that for my own son. But I had to go home, and I have his urn in this dining area on this, it's a nice one, and I had to do my own private committal, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, because I didn't get the opportunity. So it's just seemed like it was so many doors still open until I was able to just give him back and release him to God, But one thing he told me that eases the pain is he said, Dad, I want to thank you. I said, for what? He said, for introducing me to Jesus. So when he told me that years ago, and he loved the book of Proverbs, the book of wisdom, that was his book. He could tell you all the scripts. So that relationship, even though he was having a problem with alcoholism, he still was probably during that time, I'm speculating that he was still talking to God. You know, so that gives me comfort knowing, and I believe he's in God's arms because of his belief and his love for Christ, because he was still coming to church and everything.
That is kind of like one of those, like, at least.
Yeah, at least. Right.
Another thing about you, because you said y'all need to talk as a family.
Right.
And y'all may have only did outwardly the surface stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
This happened, I felt like this, but nobody, like you said, you didn't get to have that process with your son like you've had with everybody else. And a lot of people probably don't, know how that really bothers you or whatever.
Right.
Your younger son brought up the why'd you choose alcohol over the family or whatever.
Boy, that hit like a ton of bricks. It did.
Yeah, it really, it's a real conversation to be had about, like, let me talk to you about this. Let's really, like, because what you said means something to me, son. Like, so I really need to know how you felt about this, and talk about it. Like, ain't no telling what the whole family feel. Then you talking to your son that was closest to him. Like, I ain't saying closest to him, but like they was 3 years apart and they kind of grew up together. You had to deliver that to him while he was in college.
That's what I said. I can't remember because Armand, like I said, he had a journey. He went to college from Lee Summit West. He went to Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. Then he played football there. And then when he left there, he went to Mexico and played. And then he came back and tried out at the NFL Combine. So it was a lot going on. And I can't remember the time because, like I said, it was so much going on. I can't remember where he was in 2020 trying to put it together. I don't know if he was in Mexico or if he was back here. But I had to deliver that. And I was really more fearful of my daughter because if I'm not mistaken, we had to tell her and she's in Florida. Yeah. So, the support ain't there. If like I said, I'm having I just can't remember where everybody was during that time. I was so out of it. If I ain't mistaken, she may have, I don't know, man. Don't quote me on that, but I just know that it was a tough time for all of us. But the toughest time was we were not able to come together as friends and family and celebrate him and give him a good homegoing celebration. And that's what hurt. That's what hurt.
And then, like, you just the load of all of that, like having to tell the other kids, having to deal with what you going on with in yourself or whatever. And we often had that fight of, man, did I do enough?
Man, I got my pilot license in 2018, and he used to always say, Dad, I want to go up with you. I want you to fly me around. And I never did get to take it. Everybody else been up but him. It was times when we planned to go and we didn't get the chance to go. The one time I was going to take him, somebody else had rented the airplane out, so I couldn't get it when he was available and I was available. And so, he got his wings in 2020,
You gave him his wings in a different way.
Yeah.
And he thanked you for it.
Right.
Jesus.
That's it.
For introducing him to Jesus. One more thing while we're there.
Go ahead. You can do it.
Why do you think he wouldn't come to you in his time of need, like when he was out there homeless?
Because he told me, and now I want you to understand this is TJ had places to go.
Yeah.
But he wanted to do it on his own. He told me, I'm a man, I want to figure this out myself. He told me, he said, Dad, everything that everybody do is a choice. He said, when we get up and we get going on our day, we have a choice to whether go to work or not, go out the door or not, get in your car or not. We had a whole breakdown, and he said, and this has nothing to do with you or my mom. It's my choice. He said, I'm choosing to do things the way I do them because I want to figure it out for myself. Because like I said, he had food and shelter that he could have easily came to us, but he wanted to do it himself, and that was a choice he made. It wasn't, he just was so stuck on trying to prove to us that he can do it. He wanted to be a man in his own way, and I was the same way. I get it.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like, even that you got to be proud of, even though as a parent, you kind of like, I wish would have just
Right.
came. But it's like, dang, I raised you to be a,
Yeah.
take accountability and all of that. So,
Yeah. Because, I mean, we had some rough times when he would drink, he'd call and, I don't know if you had any alcoholics in your family or
yeah.
anything, but when they call you and they drunk, they talk crazy to you. And so he had me on the phone hot. He talking slick to me and I'm talking slick back to him like, man, I'm your father. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then when he ain't drinking, he's the best kid in the world. Best young man in the world. Funny. Knew where every food spot was. I'll call him TJ, who got the best chicken wings?
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, Dad, you need to go down on such and such
Mhm.
38th and go behind the alley. And it's this dude to make these wings on this grill. Stop right there. He only charged $7. I mean, he just knew all the little crazy spots for some good food. He's a foodie. That was his thing.
How did y'all recover from those moments though? Like when he would be going off on you, and
Because
then
we didn't talk for a few days or so. He'd sober up real good. Then he'll call me back and he say, Dad, I know I probably was tripping, and I get it because I believe that you wasn't sober. You didn't have a sober mind. You may have said some things that you was feeling, but at the end of the day, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I know you love me. It's just that you got a stronghold. So it didn't never, separate us to where I just couldn't stand him or nothing. I just knew he had an addiction.
So you knew in a few days. You figured in a few days.
It always happened. Like he'll call me. It'll be a week, a few days to go by, whatever it was, and he'll call back and be like, or I'll call him. I'll say, son, you cool? You cool, son? And he'll be like, yeah, Dad, I'm good. I'm good. He said, I said, you had a little spazzed out on Pops the other day. And he's like, I know, I apologize. He said, I'm trying to do better, Dad, and so we'll mend it. I'm just grateful, my blessing was three things. It was that he got to know who Christ was. He knew I was in his life, and then nobody took his life. That way I don't have malice in my heart for somebody else. Everything he did was his choice. He did it his way, and it was self-inflicted. So, I can't do nothing about that because everything we do, we have a choice.
No malice in your heart for like other humans and stuff, but
Right.
also you're a man of God, and at that time your relationship with God was super strong.
Super strong, right?
Super strong. So how was your talks with God at that period of time when you lost him?
Because I was alone in ministry, I was grateful. What I tell people now, even in counseling sessions, is thank God for the good times. Thank God for the memories, because his word says that he created us for what he has going on, his pleasures or what have you. We created to be his, to do whatever he wants to do. He utilizes us the way to help somebody else the way he wants to. And so we get attached. And so, but he's the owner of this.
Yeah.
This is God's. And so when he's done with us, then he allows us to come home. And so we be like, no, I love you. But I always say to myself, I bet if I could talk to TJ and ask him, you want to come back where I am? He'll be like, Dad, I'm standing right here in God's loving arms. And so that makes me smile. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
So
he said he created us for his purpose. That's what the word is.
And this was during COVID, so there was even church wasn't being had like that for real. You know what I'm saying? Even like, I don't know if you was having your own fellowships with your homies or nothing like that, or your people around you or whatever, but the phone calls still come in and all of that. So how did you feel people moving around you, and how would you advise people to comfort or try to, you know what I'm saying, help somebody who's grieving from the loss of a child?
I tell them that just be there for them. You don't have to say. A lot of people don't know what words to use.
Yeah.
They don't know what to say, and you end up saying something that you shouldn't have said because you're trying to figure out what to say. So I just tell them, just go ahead and just say, let them know you here, and do things from your heart. If you want to get them something to eat, do it. If you want to, give them a monetary blessing, do it. Just don't ask them, just do. because that's what they need right now. Somebody, and then give them their time. I'm the kind of person, if you tell me you lost your loved one, I'm not going to pick up the phone and call you because you need time to process. So I back off a little bit, give you time because there's going to be other people that's going to be calling you. And then I may, now, thank God for text messages and stuff. I'll just send you a text, saying I'm giving you your space. I understand the situation. I love you and I'm here and I will contact you later, and I let them know so at least they can refer back to that. Because the last thing you want to do is pick up the phone and say, hey, man, I heard, what, you okay? Of course they ain't okay. You know what I'm saying? So I try to give you your space and then I'll be there for you because when everybody else is gone and the service is over and the repast is done and family done went back their separate ways, that's when I'm coming in like, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody don't want to hear it's going to be all right.
Right.
God got it. Like they just don't. It's
they
true
believe
as it
it,
may
but
be,
they don't want to hear. Right.
They don't want to hear it
Right.
at that time. So yeah, I think it's very important for us to hear from somebody who's dealt with it, how to take on those situations or move in those situations. Now, another thing you mentioned when you got your license to fly or whatever.
Right. Private pilot license.
So I want to talk about the Kansas City Pilots of America.
That's it.
Of America. How do you get to doing this, and what's the process of becoming, and is it something you always wanted to do and seen yourself doing? What was the influence on? You know what I'm saying?
Well, coming out of high school, I was talking to a Navy recruiter. My plan was to go to the Navy and become a Navy fighter pilot.
Okay.
That's what my plan was, but not knowing the logistics on this, you had to have college education and things like that, and they can take you through that in military training, but that's the part I miss about my dad because he was a Navy man. If he would have asked me what is it I wanted to do, then he could have helped me navigate that because he was high ranking as a master chief in the military, in the Navy. He could have said, well, okay, you need to do this. And I didn't have that. So I ended up not believing what the recruiter was telling me and I ended up not even going. But I've always been intrigued by airplanes. I used to, play flying games. And one of my boys, Los, used to say, man, why are y'all playing these old flying games? And I just liked airplanes. And so my daughter was in school down at Florida University of Florida. Go Gators. Anyway, she was down there at school and we drove down there 18 hours. I don't know if it was for the visit or we was on vacation, but it was all a plan for her to see Florida and see if that's where she was going to go. And I think it was prior to her going. And I told my wife, it was prior to her going because she graduated in 17 and we took her to Florida. And I said, this is my last time driving down here. I can't do 18 hours. I did 16 in Norfolk, Virginia. I done been to Chicago. I'm not a driver like that. I get tired as soon as I hit the highway.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to get my pilot license. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, right. And so it was a dream that came out of my mouth. It hadn't manifested yet. And then one of my clients told me that, you don't have to go to the military college to get a pilot license. I said, really? He said, yeah, all you got to do is hire a certified flight instructor, a CFI, and you pay them to teach you how to fly an airplane. And then you can do that. He got on the phone and he called Rebel Aviation, I think it was at the time, or no, excuse me, ADT. Is that what it's called? ADT or ATD down at downtown airport. And he asked, did they do discovery flights? And it was what's in September? Labor Day. It was Labor Day weekend. And my discovery flight, he said, yeah, I'll take him up on Labor Day 2017. That was my discovery flight with a certified flight instructor. They take you up and let you see what the airplane is like and see if you like it.
So essentially a ride along?
Basically. But you get to work the controls and everything. Yeah, once they get to altitude, you can work the controls. I do it all the time too. Okay. Like you fly with me, once we get up to altitude, 3,000, I'll let you just see what the plane feel like. But anyway, we do kids like that too. Little kids, they love it. But so that was Labor Day. I did that. And then January 2018 is when I joined the Kansas City Black Pilots of America chapter. And then I started my training. And I told them, I said, by June, I have my written test taken care of. And I said, and by fall, end of fall or somewhere now, I have a license. And they hear that all the time, just like I hear it all the time. I hear a lot of people say, man, I want to fly an airplane. And I'm like, yeah, right. But I did it. June, I passed my written test. October, I got my pilot license, 2018. And here we are, just 7 years, 7th year anniversary. And now I'm the president of the chapter. As of last January 2025, I became the president of the Kansas City Black Pilots of America chapter.
Yeah. And when you put black on there, though, does that, what was it called? The Red Wings?
Red Tails.
Red Tails. Does
Right.
that, like, you standing in that, being the president, does it give you that feel of, like, what all they had to go through for you to get here?
It gives me a feeling of being grateful.
Yeah.
Because what they did in war times and all the stuff they had to go through with the prejudiceness and all the racism, you know, all the stuff that we had to encounter, it makes me proud to be able to have an opportunity to even fly an airplane. You know what I'm saying? And so I look back at the people who paved the way to help me get to where I am, and not so much in physical, but just in history. And so they went through the tough times so that now people like me can do it. And so I put emphasis on black because a lot of times in the inner city, I know, like I told you before, career day consisted of a police officer, a postal worker, or a fireman. And now I want to be in them classrooms saying you can be a pilot, or you can be in any other entity in aviation, and you can make a nice career out of it. But I'm able to walk it back into these classrooms, and so I want to come back to the black community and let them see somebody like you was able to fly an airplane, and you can do it too.
Do you got any interesting or like standout pilot stories?
As far as myself,
as far as yourself, or people being in the air with you, or like situations that
I do remember one time, me and my OG, I call all of them my OG, but Mr. Tolliver, we was flying towards, we was up training. He likes to take you up and just make you work on your skills. You know, he's the one that is instrumental in every month giving us a safety and education portion of our meeting. And so we'll go up, and we were flying towards Columbia, and a fighter jet came over on side of us. We didn't even, you can't hear him, can't see him. All of a sudden, you just look at him, there it is. And the guy, the pilot, did his wings like this, and then he was just gone. And then Mr. Tyler looked over and said, where are we? I said, we close to Whiteman Air Force Base, you know, and he was like, well, let's turn around, you know. But that was so cool to see little old me traveling around at 140 knots, and here he is in a super jet, you know, the baddest, you know, the baddest right next to us. And just to see him just, you know, wave at the little airplane and then take off, I thought that was cool. When I was thinking that should have been me in that fighter jet. But that was the only story that I have that I can, I mean, you know, flying is flying. I enjoy it. It's my way of leaving Earth. That's what I say.
You said you get sleepy once you get behind or tired once you get behind the wheel of a car. How is it never been that same?
No, I mean, I've been tired because I had a long day, but not sleepy because it's fun. Like, I could see how somebody who used autopilot could go to sleep.
Yeah.
But I fly. I like to fly. So I like to look outside. I like to, you know, you constantly checking your altitude and checking your gauges, making sure your fuel and stuff, you know. Sometimes when I'm not in airspace where I need to talk to air traffic control, I have music playing. So now I'm listening to some of my favorite either R&B, gospel, or old school rap songs, and I'm just enjoying it. It's just in there. But my excitement comes from somebody who's never been up with me, you know. You know, I spent a lot of time traveling to my son's camps. Instead of driving, we fly into the nearest airport and get him to his camp and then fly back. So cutting out a lot of time. Last year, we flew to all his away football games. So instead of driving 3 hours, I jump in the plane and we fly there and land at the little city airport. And so it's like it's just a blessing, man, to be able to do that. And all that stuff come from people like the Red Tails who, you know, did their thing so that we could do ours.
I know how the white lines in the street can make you sleepy, but like it just seemed like all you see is clouds up there. So you can see all
in the daytime, like we went and was flying on a clear day, I can fly you over some houses you will never see from the street. I mean, mega mansions over in Johnson County. You can fly over the stadiums and get head view of that. It's just, you know, lakes. You get to see it's a lot of land out there. You get to see all kind of different stuff that you wouldn't see driving in a car.
And you own your own plane.
I was fortunate enough to get some help and get a great deal on an airplane. You know, people hear you on an airplane, they think you got millions of dollars, and that ain't true. I have a friend that bought an airplane for $8,000. So yeah, your thought is that it probably don't run worth nothing, but that's not the case. We have to have an annual inspection on our airplanes, and so every year they, you know, your mechanic, airplane mechanic, he goes through that thing tooth and nail to make sure everything, you know, compression checks on the engine. So it's a more strenuous test and inspection than it is a car inspection, because you got to keep that thing. You got to have that every year, every airplane.
How many passengers you fit in?
4.
Damn, that's tough.
It's an old 1976, but it's not good.
And a lot of people say it's safer in the air than it is.
Absolutely.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've never been in the air where it was so congested that I felt like it was just too many airplanes. Sometimes I can fly around. I'll take you for a flight. We probably won't ever even see another airplane in the air. So it just, you know, the big planes fly high up and the little planes stay down here. So
the bigger planes are more in the clouds.
Yeah, see, I can't go, they go above. I can't go above 18,000. Well, you get on the airline and you 30,000 and above. So I'm not going to be that high, but I can fly as low as, I usually travel across maybe 3,500, you know. If I'm going east to like St. Louis, I may fly 3,500 feet all the way to St. Louis. So just making, you know, so it's cool.
You ever did skydiving?
No. Would I? Yes.
Why haven't you?
I just ain't never. It's just one thing I ain't did. I don't have a bucket list yet. I'm too busy still being a kid behind the yoke.
Got it.
You know, like I said. So you gonna have to get in there one day and bring your camera. You're gonna be like, oh yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna make some memories, man.
Fly me and the wife one time.
I'll take y'all up, give y'all a discovery flight.
That's tough. Would you, in closing, like to leave us marked out with some words and pray us out?
Definitely. Words that I'm gonna leave for this show is thank you, brother. Thank you for your platform. This is new to me. Like I said, you was the first one I did a podcast with. T-Ray introduced us, and I appreciate him for that. And I'm just appreciative to be able to tell my story. Not that I wanted to, but I was encouraged by you because I don't do a lot of that. But I'm really a private person that just like to have some fun, man. But my hope and prayer is that the young people love and respect one another, as well as respect the old people and learn something from them, so that you can have a healthy life. There's too much of us going against each other, and we should love one another more.
Yeah. I appreciate you because you don't do this and allowing our platform to host your story.
For sure.
Piece of your story, because I'm sure your story is so vast or whatever, but at least a piece, and some of those harder parts wasn't hard to go into. Right. Oh, there was one more thing I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I just thought about it. Your father, you said you looked up because of what he did in aviation and all of that. He was the same thing.
He wasn't aviation. He was a master chief on the ship. On the ship.
Yeah. But he also transitioned too. You only got to be with him for 5 years, right?
But basically, I'm gonna say 5 to 6 years of going down to Florida and spending time with him.
So, what I do want to know is how, seeing that you just got to really get to know him for those last 5 to 6 years or whatever, how did you take that news of him passing away?
I was there. Yeah,
you were there when it happened?
Yeah, I was there when because he was in Vietnam. I think he had some repercussions from Agent Orange. I think that's what it's called. And he was sick. He got sick over the years.
You know what that is?
It's like, when they used to drop the chemical warfare in Vietnam, a lot of our soldiers got when you see a veteran with a Vietnam hat, I always thank them for sure. I thank everybody in the military, but them especially, because when they dropped them bombs and stuff, they it ain't like we were protected from it and it just got them. You know what I'm saying? If it's a chemical, it's gonna get everybody in. So some of our soldiers came home with this disease or this chemical that caused diseases. And later on, we found out that he had some issues because of that. And so when he really got sickly, my brother and I were able to fly down there and go to the hospital and be by his side. And he even woke up for a second and, before he transitioned on. But, we was able to do that. And that was, it was cool. Like I said, we didn't have no, and I'm just glad, like I said, that we were able, able to be able to talk to him and got to know him and spend some good times with him. So ain't no malice there no more. I still tell a story, the truth that he didn't raise us, but we still end up loving him the same.
Did you get to have some real talks with him? Like as far as
about us?
Yeah.
No, not really, because he was one of them ones that kind of shied away from reality. So if you start leaning that way, he'll change the subject. And so I just, like I said, I learned to just take it for what it is. It ain't, you can't go back and change it. So let's just live life from this moment on. Let's just go forward.
Understood. I didn't want to leave that out.
No, you good. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, man, for doing this platform, man.
Right.
Would you please bless us with a word?
I definitely will, but I also got to give thanks to my man.
Oh, yeah.
The popper at the KC store, because this is our newest jacket.
Show on the back, too.
I am. He and I designed. He and I got together and collaborated and designed this Black Pilots of America, and he did some T-shirts and sweatshirts for us a couple years ago, and it had this logo on the front of the T-shirt. And so we got together and did a little bit of KC, BPA. There's the year BPA started, and then his logo, and then the back.
Blackhawks.
Yep, Kansas City Black Pilots of Blackhawks. So this jacket we're gonna have a jacket for the pilots if you have a pilot license as well as the public. So that's our plan.
You said as well as the public? Okay, that's
so
what
you'll be able to get a jacket like this.
It
just may not have exactly everything that the pilot one has on it, but it'll be close. We just got to make sure that we, it's like being in a fraternity. You don't get
you don't get those patches.
You don't get pilot and you don't have a pilot license. So
I want one of those.
Well, good. You know where to go down KC Store War Parkway. So I wanted to thank him for this, man. This is a special jacket, and this is the first one. All right. Yep. So with that being said, Father in heaven, we thank you once again, God, for allowing us to come together as brothers, oh God. We thank you, Father God, for the inspiration behind this podcast, oh God, to help someone else or to hear a story that could possibly help someone else. So, Father, I thank you for the strength that you've given me, Father. I didn't want to talk about my son and my family because I try to stay private, but transparency is good for the public. And they can say, I could change too. So, Father, I'm asking that you bless all people that listen to this podcast, and then bless this brother Damo, Father God, that he may be an inspiration and continue this journey, no matter how rough it seems, or it may seem sometimes that he's not getting any leeway, Father God. Just keep sending people that can get on here and tell their story, Father God, that may give you honor and praise and lift him up as well. We love you, Father. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The goal is to leave a lasting imprint on their minds and their hearts. We pray you've been indelibly marked.
Appreciate it. Right. My man. Watch your head. Yeah, this time. Appreciate it.